Rebirth. I carry a desktop computer inside me. As a renowned computer market in the South, it's bustling and crowded every day. Hey, handsome, want to check out some computers? The latest authentic Apple notebooks are here. In the narrow corridors, groups of salespeople held flyers, shouting to attract customers. Some brand stores even had beautiful women standing outside to draw in the crowd. Longjaw Computer Flagship Store. Despite being called a flagship store, it's just a small shop less than 9 square meters, packed with items. Brother Dong, this computer is ancient. It can't be fixed, and there's no point in trying. A young man engrossed in disassembling a machine in the corner complained while pulling out the tower. An i5-2300 CPU and 2 RAM sticks from 2011. Once mainstream, but now, nobody wants it. Hey, Cheng, the customer is always right. Just do as he says, Brother Dong, the shop owner, replied while dealing with a customer. He's an elderly man. I spent an hour trying to convince him to buy a new one, but he wouldn't budge. Alright, I think the CPU might still work, but the rest needs replacing. These old parts aren't worth fixing. Cheng, whose real name is Zhang Cheng, had been working in the computer market for 5 or 6 years. His main job was repairing computers, with a side gig of reselling gray market items. He rarely dealt in second-hand goods, but profit margins always mattered. Old computers are tricky and not worth the hassle compared to the mainstream configurations of new machines. As he prepared to test the circuit, Zhang Cheng plugged in the power supply. Suddenly, he felt a jolt of numbness in his hand. His heart skipped a beat, not good. In an instant, countless memories flashed before his eyes. The next moment, Zhang Cheng lost consciousness. Overall, the results of the third mock exam are pretty good. Based on last year's cutoff, 21 of you could get into undergraduate programs. Keep it up. A bald teacher was commenting loudly from the podium when he was abruptly interrupted. A scream, filled with fear and unease, caught everyone's attention. Soon, many students smirked. The troublemakers lost it again. Probably stayed up all night at an internet cafe. Some students whispered among themselves. The bald teacher's eyes narrowed as he focused on the student he least wanted to address, Zhang Cheng. With his long, messy hair, tired and frightened expression, Zhang Cheng looked around in confusion. The teacher's stern glare went unnoticed, his explosive anger dissipating into nothing. Bang! The bald teacher slammed his book down. Zhang Cheng, stand up. Huh. Zhang Cheng slowly regained his senses, taking in the familiar yet strange scene. The ponytails in the front row, the backs of the students, the podium, the blackboard, and the old ceiling fan creaking overhead. That familiar bald head. What was his name again? Oh right. Isn't this the head teacher from senior year, Mr. Zhang? Zhang Cheng. Seeing Zhang Cheng still in a daze, the teacher called out again, louder this time. Everyone turned to look at the back row, the seats for the poor students. The 7th row, 4th column, right next to the brooms and trash cans. Zhang Cheng's deskmate sensed the tension, hid his novel, and nudged him. Zhang Cheng stood up, still dazed. The bustling market scenes faded like a dream. Yes, you might not want to study or take the college entrance exam, but don't disrupt my class. It's the last 2 months. I don't want to say more. Take care of yourself. Surprisingly, the teacher calmed down. Just stand there. Zhang Cheng said nothing as memories came flooding back. He was a poor student. Fighting and smoking were routine. Internet cafes and arcades were his haunts. Throughout his senior year, Zhang Cheng had been reprimanded countless times, his parents summoned multiple times, and he had publicly apologized in school meetings. Finally, Zhang Cheng managed to calm down. Sneaking out to play games during evening self-study was nothing new. But as long as they didn't cause trouble, teachers usually left them alone. Even if he fell asleep in class, no one cared. Sitting in the last row had its perks. Homework, often left blank or copied from others. On the podium, the bald teacher resumed talking about the test questions without looking at Zhang Cheng again. Zhang Cheng also remembered the teacher's name was Zhang Ming. Because he went bald early and his surname was Zhang, students privately called him Bald Zhang. Zhang Ming taught Chinese and was the homeroom teacher, often lecturing and managing students. Back then, Zhang Cheng found him annoying. Only after graduating did he hear that Zhang Ming had to stop teaching due to cancer. The blackboard at the back was a long-standing bulletin board. Some words were blurred, but the countdown was clear. 60 days until the 2011 college entrance examination. Even a poor student felt a twinge of urgency seeing this. Not much time left to have fun. What if he didn't get into college? He'd just mix into society. Zhang Cheng remembered his predetermined future. He failed the college entrance exam, disappointing his parents. While classmates went to university, he headed to Jiangzhou. A distant relative had a small factory there. His parents persuaded him to go and learn the ropes. Living under someone else's roof was tough, as Zhang Cheng now realized. Later, he rented his own place, stopped playing games, and worked odd jobs like distributing flyers and selling computer parts. Eventually, he learned to repair computers. Without a diploma, he could only rely on skills to get by. Zhang Cheng felt for a cigarette. The familiar pack was still in his pocket. After class, his deskmate Qin Jin smiled. Why the outburst? Didn't even read the book. The book was a yellowed cover novel, its content as lurid as the cover suggested. Restless adolescence had its quirks. Zhang Cheng smiled. Quit reading those smutty novels. Qin Jin groaned. Nonsense. Why don't you read some? Let's have a smoke. Zhang Cheng handed Qin Jin a cigarette and walked out. The next class was Zhang Ming's Chinese. He was still explaining problems on the podium. Zhang Cheng, unmotivated but respectful, wouldn't smoke in the classroom. Leaving the classroom, they headed to the toilet to smoke. Baisha cigarettes, less than 5 yuan, tasted bitter. Zhang Cheng blew a smoke ring, looking at Qin Jin. Mirror, what do you plan to do after graduation? What else? Work in Guangdong. We can't study, damn it. Then, get married in a couple of years? Haha, not so fast. Zhang Cheng paused, looking at the distant bright sky. If life followed its previous path, Qin Jin worked for 2 years, got involved with a girl, and returned to Guanglan. He had a son and a wife. Luckily, his family business was good, and he started a building materials business, running a small shop. Everyone had their own life path. College or no college, everyone finds their rhythm. Maybe some go abroad, others stay, some take postgraduate exams, others smoke. Some take civil service exams, others become salesmen, some become white-collar workers, others small bosses. Remember, those who get into college should maintain good relations with those who don't. You might work for them someday. Such jokes rarely came true. But Zhang Cheng no longer wanted to follow his past path. Stubbing out his cigarette, Zhang Cheng declared, I want to go to university. Qin Jin stared, confused. Did you take the wrong medicine? The second class was about test papers as usual, but Zhang Cheng, now composed, began to listen carefully, for the first time. This dictation comes from Pippa Xing. The last 2 lines of I sighed when I heard the Pippa, and groaned again when I heard the words. Only 3 didn't write it correctly. Zhang Ming glanced at the 4 groups and 7 rows. Qin Jin was buried in his books, but Zhang Cheng was listening attentively. Zhang Cheng, recite the last 2 lines. Caught off guard, Zhang Cheng was momentarily stunned. He had used Chinese knowledge after graduation. He could recite some, but most were vague. He glanced at his Chinese book. It was new. He quickly found Pippa Xing in just a few pages. In seconds, he found the lines. We are both fallen people at the end of the world. How can we meet each other before? Zhang Cheng recited. His loud, confident voice surprised the class. When did Zhang Cheng become so confident? He seems different. The students in the front row began whispering. But Zhang Cheng, focused, remembered lines clearly. The Zunyang River sees off guests on the first night, and the maple leaves and flowers are rustling in the autumn. The host dismounts and the passengers are on the boat, raising the wine to drink without the orchestra. Line after line, even punctuation marks, were engraved in his memory. Was this a photographic memory? The benefits of rebirth finally favored him? Open the text. What a few people do to the country. King Wei of Liang said. What a few people do to the country, they only do their best. Hanoi is dangerous. Another text. Encouragement to learning. The gentleman says. Learning is something you can't stop doing. Green comes from blue and is green from blue. Ice comes from water and is cold from water. At a glance, as long as it is printed in my mind, it will be clear to me. No matter how I think about it, it will be easy to memorize it. It seems to be getting rich, Zhang Cheng thought. Zhang Ming nodded. Very good, Zhang Cheng. I hope you can put your mind back to your studies, although it's only 2 months. Can 2 months change anything? It's hard. Zhang Cheng majored in science, and was the best in Chinese. He could get over 60 points in the test, and basically scored in the 20s in mathematics. He relied entirely on English. He got over 50 points when he was lucky, and over 30 points when he was unlucky. As for the science comprehensive examination, I didn't even recognize the symbols. After the third model, I scored a total of 255 points in the 6 subjects. It's less than the score of 2 courses for top students. I hope he works hard, gets a score of 3,560, and chooses a vocational and technical college that is even worse. Hangzhou Technical School is good, and Jeju Lanxiang is also good. I will. Zhang Cheng was a little confused at this time and responded in a low voice. In terms of character, Zhang Ming is very good. He has been disappointed with poor students like Zhang Cheng and others in the past few years, but he has never despised or suppressed him. Even if something happened, he always wanted not to affect their future. Then let's move on to the next question. After signaling Zhang Cheng to sit down, Zhang Ming continued to speak. At this time, Zhang Cheng, whose brain cells were more active than ever, was still agitated in his heart. He had read a lot of Rebirth novels, but since God allowed him to live again and gave him a magical skill that he could never forget, Zhang Cheng naturally wanted to get into a good university and have a taste of university. Shuimu and Beijing University don't dare to hope. Can't they still pass the ordinary 985 and 211 exams? Zhang Cheng licked his dry lips. A poor student with a score of 255 had ambitions for the first time. Zhang Cheng made some calculations in his mind. With photographic memory in hand, it shouldn't be difficult to improve Chinese and English. Well, let's just count them as 110 points. Mathematics is a bit difficult, but I think I can remember the formulas and other things and be familiar with them. I think 90 points is okay. Comprehensive theory. Damn, I knew I would have chosen liberal arts. Zhang Cheng was depressed. Logically speaking, without understanding, it is probably difficult to improve just by relying on memory. Time was running out, so Zhang Cheng ignored Bald Yang's lecture on the test papers and took out all the Chinese textbooks from the first to the third year of high school and started reading them one by one. A text in more than 20 seconds was no difficulty for him now. By the time the bell rang at the end of the class, Zhang Cheng had memorized all the famous ancient Chinese articles in 6 Chinese textbooks. At this moment, it doesn't matter if it's the Analects of Confucius or Mencius, Tang poetry or song poetry, as long as it's in a book. He can't even write the punctuation wrong. Dang 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 dang. The familiar recess drill sounded. Let's go. Let's do some exercises. Qin Jin put away the book and pulled Zhang Cheng to leave. Zhang Cheng doesn't want to go at all right now. Time is tight. Can't he memorize all the English words in these 20 minutes? If you don't go, it's a waste of time. Zhang Cheng put away his Chinese books and picked up English. Qin Jin looked at Zhang Cheng's upright look in disbelief, feeling like a top student who coldly refused to relax. But if it weren't for the unconventional hair, he would really believe it. Chengza, don't go crazy. We are not good at studying. Let's go to Guangdong province to work together. We will have company. If you don't go, it's impossible to work part-time. I will never work part-time again in this life. Well, the college entrance examination is coming soon. What are you thinking about? How many points can you get by studying? If you really want to take the college entrance examination, why don't we just repeat a year together? We have company. Qin Jin scratched his head. Zhang Cheng waved his hand. No, I don't want to repeat the course. As the exciting interclass exercise music played, everyone in the classroom went to the playground one after another. A certain classmate shouted at the door, "Hurry up, it's time to do exercises, and you need to be named." Qin Jin pulled Zhang Cheng up and said, "Let's go." Zhang Cheng had no choice but to put down his book and follow him. It was already a bit hot in April, and the sun was high in the sky, making the entire campus bright. On the playground, there were crowds of people, and most of them were wearing blue and red school uniforms under the black masks. Since it was Monday, most students were wearing school uniforms. The school uniform is ugly and Zhang Cheng doesn't want to wear it. After so many years, Zhang Cheng naturally couldn't remember where his class was in line, so he just followed Qin Jin in small steps to the last line. At first glance, most of them were boys and only 6 or 7 girls. Their faces still looked familiar, but Zhang Cheng couldn't remember most of their names. Some people say that the friendship between classmates in high school is deeper, but that is all based on small-scale and compatible relationships. Zhang Cheng had poor grades, was a slut, and didn't have many friends in his class. After graduating from high school, he cut off contact with these classmates and only kept his number with Qin Jin. Now let's start the 8th set of radio gymnastics, walking in place. 1, 2. Zhang Cheng had long forgotten how to do exercises, but fortunately, he was in the last column, looking at the gestures of others, and followed the trend. In his heart, Zhang Cheng was still thinking about his study plan. For the first time, Zhang Cheng was extremely eager to learn and read. He has already suffered a loss once, and it is impossible for him to suffer a second time. The overall study plan is divided into 2 steps. The first step is to memorize a wide range of knowledge, including high school textbooks, tutoring, and modern Chinese dictionaries, English dictionaries. In addition, there are notes, test papers, wrong question sets, etc. You can borrow notes and wrong question sets from classmates. Anyway, Zhang Cheng is fast and can memorize them in one class. Then, the second step is to understand. The knowledge must be understood and integrated. This step requires frequent questioning and practice. With things on his mind, when the gymnastics was over, Zhang Cheng's hands were still dancing. Let's go. Qin Jin quickly pulled Zhang Cheng away. If this continues, Zhang Cheng will probably make a fool of himself. Zhang Cheng came back to his senses and followed Qin Jin just a few steps before he saw someone he was still familiar with. President, can I borrow your Chinese notes? Zhang Cheng paused and asked the girl with a ponytail in front of him. This is one of the few girls in Zhang Cheng's class. He has an oval face shape, which is more delicate and elegant. He is nearly 1.7 meters tall, has a good figure, well proportioned, and is neither fat nor thin. Although she applied less makeup and simply tied her hair into a ponytail, she still couldn't hide her beautiful face. She is the squad leader Yu Xinren. My math, physics and chemistry scores are not very good, but my Chinese and English scores have long been ranked first in the class. Of course, being number 1 in the class is not considered high compared to the rest of the grade. After all, Zhang Cheng's grade 3.9 class is just an ordinary class. Yu Xinren has always been easygoing and will not look down on others, so she readily agreed. Okay, but I often have to review myself, so you have to pay me back during self-study tomorrow morning. Okay. Zhang Cheng gestured, feeling a little happy. Yu Xinran's notes were praised by teacher Zhang Ming. They collected many error-prone sounds, words, idioms, etc., as well as appreciation of ancient Chinese prose and collection of good sentences. What are the techniques for writing essays? Zhang Cheng ignored Qin Jin, who was at a loss, and walked towards the classroom at the same pace as Yu Xinren. Zhang Cheng's composition is relatively poor, and his impression score is generally around 30. Although he has many years of social experience, Zhang Cheng still doesn't understand how to write an article that satisfies the examiner. Yu Xinren thought for a while. I think the composition for the college entrance examination is nothing more than these words. Xing Shen Yi Ti. Xing refers to the composition, because it is usually about 800 words, and the entire article structure should be small and precise. The current argumentative style is generally 3-paragraph or 2-paragraph. Qin Jin on the side felt confused, patted Zhang Cheng, and ran away first. Seeing that Zhang Cheng was listening attentively, Yu Xinren also slowed down and spoke slowly. God actually refers to the literary talent of the entire article. This can be achieved by accumulating more famous quotes and classic stories. Meaning means the purpose of the article, which must be in line with the characteristics of the times and demonstrate positive energy. As for the style, it means that the writing should be beautiful and nice, and the paper should be crisp and clear, so that the marking teacher can read it comfortably. After Yu Xinren finished speaking, the two of them had already gone up the stairs and were almost to the classroom. Zhang Cheng was a little helpless, especially when it came to writing. The ghostly characters had not changed much, and this was extremely difficult to change. Okay. Thank you, monitor. I'll treat you to a meal now that your Chinese has improved, Zhang Cheng said sincerely. Yu Xinren smiled and said, we are all classmates, so why are you so polite? If you don't understand anything, you can ask me. Okay. Zhang Cheng was naturally unpretentious. When he arrived in the classroom, Yu Xinren took out the Chinese notes he had taken and 2 thick notebooks. Review well, come on. Zhang Cheng took the note. He was addicted to TikTok in his previous life and almost had to follow Ali Gay. Fortunately, he collected it quickly and encouraged himself, come on. As soon as I returned to my seat, the preparation bell for the 3rd period had already rang. It's math class. Chengze, have you really changed your gender? Qin Jin still looked in disbelief. You should take this time to review yourself. Zhang Cheng had already made up his mind. How could he go back to the old ways if he had to live his life again? Naturally, you have to live a wonderful life. Qin Jin curled his lips and said, I have no chance. Ignoring Qin Jin, Zhang Cheng opened the notes by himself. Books and ink are fragrant. The words are in rounded fonts, somewhat like rounded ones, but more beautiful. They are written neatly line by line, with red or blue writing marking key points in many places. Peers, shy. Deprivation, Kai, expropriation, Kai, tattoo punishment, Xing. To cause trouble, yes. To hinder, hinder. To be languid, dejected. July fire. It means the weather is getting cooler. Notes are recorded by date. Although they are not recorded once a day, they are basically recorded every other day. There are 2 thick books of notes since the 3rd year of high school. No wonder people get high scores in exams because they spend time and energy studying. Compared to Zhang Cheng himself, the high school Chinese language document that is as clean as his face is a reflection of his performance. After briefly reading a few pages, the class bell rang. Putting the notes aside temporarily, Zhang Cheng took the math book. Because the Model 3 exam has just been completed, I have been focusing on the test papers these days. This class will focus on the test papers as usual. Zhang Cheng's results are as follows. Chinese, 63 points. Mathematics, 32 points. English, 48 points. Physics, 36 points. Chemistry, 33 points. Biology, 43 points. With a total score of 255, he ranked last in the class. Zhang Cheng really doesn't know math. Basically, he knows how to do it. Points are awarded individually for multiple choice questions and fill-in-the-blank questions. The big questions that follow are basically confusing, unless the paper is particularly easy. The math teacher's name is Chen Guoqing. He was born in the 1970s. He looks a bit gentle. His black glasses always seem to fall off. He speaks in a low voice and is slow and methodical. This time the math paper of the 3rd module is relatively simple. Several top students in the top class got full marks. Chen Hao from our class also got 136 points. Chen Guoqing is good at mathematics. In addition to teaching the ordinary class of class 9, he also taught a top student class. While talking, Chen Hao, the math class representative, handed out the test papers. The test paper Zhang Cheng got made him unable to bear to read it. In the upper right corner is a red 32, with 2 lines heavily drawn below. This score is not even a fraction of others. The paper is also very ugly. The ABCD of the multiple choice questions are not written well. The ink is printed very widely, making the paper look dirty. The multiple choice questions were basically confusing, and I got 4 of them right. I only filled in the blanks for 3, but I couldn't answer the other questions. I got 2 of them right. In addition, for the big questions on the back, only the first 2 questions had some symbols and numbers written on them, and the lines were twisted. It's so twisted that it probably gave the teacher who corrected the paper a headache. For the next few questions, I just wrote a solution. Zhang Cheng was a little ashamed. In these years of studying, he had really read about dogs. With the magical skill of photographic memory, Zhang Cheng looked line by line. I just feel that those numbers are unusually clear and active in my mind. I am performing rapid calculations in my mind, and all the results are immediately apparent. F n equals 1 plus 1 half plus 1/3 plus 1/3 n1, n element of n, then f n plus 1, f n equals. In Zhang Cheng's mind, 1 plus 1 half, Zhang Cheng's mind immediately displays 1.5, which can also be immediately converted to 3 halves, and then added to 11/6, 1.8333333. It seems that Rebirth has brought Zhang Cheng far more than just a photographic memory. 886 times 886 equals 784,996. Get the answer in seconds. 666 equals 1,010,632,056,840. Okay, this calculation is a bit heavy, and it takes a few seconds to react. However, after several experiments, Zhang Cheng also discovered that when faced with these functional problems, he could not directly calculate the answers in his mind. Instead, it still relies on problem-solving ideas. Although it has flaws, Zhang Cheng is still very happy. This is another boost for his hope of getting into a 985 university. Chen Guoqing began his lecture unhurriedly. Whether it was simple or difficult, he explained everything in detail. Zhang Cheng only experimented for a minute before he immediately gave up and followed Chen Guoqing to solve the questions one by one. The first multiple-choice question, but Zhang Cheng just saw it. This multiple-choice question should be very simple. In fact, it means substituting n plus 1. As he spoke, Chen Guoqing listed the calculation formulas on the blackboard. It is known that f n equals 1 plus 1 half plus 1/3 plus 1/3 n1. We can get f n plus 1 equals 1 plus 1 half plus 1/3 plus 1/3 n minus 1 plus 1/3 n plus 1 minus 1. Then, subtracting the two equations, Chen Guoqing took the trouble to list the terms. Zhang Cheng also understood in his heart, so it was like this. In Zhang Cheng's mind, he instantly completed the several terms in the ellipses, subtracted the two terms, and eliminated the repetitions, leaving only the extra terms. Although the independent variable, n, exists, it does not affect the calculation of numbers in Zhang Cheng's mind. Then, the answer is choice C. Chen Guoqing wrote the result. Who else doesn't understand the solution to this question? Most people have no problem with this simple calculation, and Zhang Cheng also understood it. After everyone was silent for a long time, Chen Guoqing continued to talk about the second question. Zhang Cheng also continued to follow, because he had not read books in some years and had done the questions. When he first saw these questions, Zhang Cheng was a little confused. But now that he had entered a full-body study state, Zhang Cheng realized for the first time that he was not stupid at all and could understand. These problem-solving ideas became vivid instantly with Chen Guoqing's step-by-step answers. But after all, Zhang Cheng still didn't master a lot of mathematical knowledge, and he didn't even study it at all. The later questions began to become more difficult. Even after listening to the lectures, Zhang Cheng was confused about some knowledge points. But at this moment Zhang Cheng was not distracted and absorbed the knowledge flowing from the questions wholeheartedly. Sitting in the last row, with the tall stack of books, no one noticed Zhang Cheng's change. Even Qin Jin didn't care whether Zhang Cheng was attending the lecture or not. He became serious about reading without any distractions. By the time get out of class was over, Chen Guoqing had already talked about the first big topic. This is a function question that also involves vector and other knowledge. Chen Guoqing explained it in detail, but Zhang Cheng still lacked many knowledge points. Others may take it for granted that from A to B, it is easy to get C, but Zhang Cheng does not understand. Can't turn around. The entire class 9 was not very good at mathematics. Only Chen Hao and a few other students were slightly better. The rest were basically above or below the passing mark. Science and mathematics in high school are still a bit difficult. Many of the questions are changeable, and the knowledge points tested are mixed. Sometimes the difficult questions are almost like Olympiad questions. After class, everyone became silent and many started chatting. Chen Guoqing has a good temper and no one is afraid of him. But during class, no one dared to speak. Because mathematics is so difficult, Everyone is afraid of being caught by Chen Guoqing to do the questions. Among the questions mentioned previously, Zhang Cheng still didn't understand two of them very well, so he immediately walked up with the test paper. Teacher, I don't understand this question a bit. Oh, which one? Mathematics teacher Chen Guoqing put his reading glasses on the bridge of his nose and took the book. Then he realized the strangeness of the voice and looked up. Zhang Cheng? Zhang Cheng smiled awkwardly. Teacher, you still remember me. First place in last place for 2 consecutive years, I'm impressed. Chen Guoqing said with a hint of saltiness, and turned to look at the question. Well, the last place can also be remembered. This is a typical yuan changing method. Chen Guoqing spoke unhurriedly and his voice was not high, but very steady. Oh, I see. Under Chen Guoqing's detailed explanation, Zhang Cheng's thinking suddenly changed. Zhang Cheng, if you want to improve your math scores, it's best to go through high school math carefully, do all the examples, and try to score some easy questions. Chen Guoqing expressed his gratitude to Zhang Cheng for taking the initiative to ask questions. The question was still very gratifying. After answering the question, he gave the instructions seriously. Okay. Zhang Cheng naturally responded and then left the podium. Many people in Class 9 looked at Zhang Cheng coming back from the podium in a daze. Weird, Zhang Cheng, who relies entirely on mathematics, actually asks the teacher questions. Could it be that the sun is coming out from the west? Zhang Cheng didn't bother to pay attention to them. Because of his status as a poor student in his previous life and his arrogant appearance, he had no friends in the class. Later, he was not admitted to college and had no interactions with his classmates. Therefore, Zhang Cheng had no intention of making friends with them in this life. Returning to his seat, Zhang Cheng immediately picked up the first-grade mathematics and prepared to take a look at it first. Qin Jin suddenly felt that reading was boring. He looked at Zhang Cheng with some resentment in his eyes. We obviously agreed to go work together, but you secretly took it seriously. Have you changed your mind? Zhang Cheng turned a blind eye and read the book quickly. By the time the school bell rang, I had already flipped through more than 10 pages. I put the book away and continued to think about it. Sure enough, all the Chinese and mathematics knowledge I had read before could be remembered and came to my mind. Continuing to follow the rhythm of Chen Guoqing's lecture, Zhang Cheng felt even more strenuous. Especially the last 2 big questions, one about analytic geometry and the other about sequence, were not very clear to Zhang Cheng. After finishing the topic, there are still about 10 minutes left. Chen Guoqing asked everyone to sort out the wrong questions. If you have any questions, you can ask them freely. Zhang Cheng did not go up to ask questions this time. He already felt that his mathematical foundation still had many weaknesses. Just doing the questions will not achieve much effect. At the moment, Zhang Cheng picked up the math book and continued reading chapter by chapter. Zhang Cheng paid more attention to the examples in the book. You must go through it several times in your mind and compose some similar questions on your own so that you can fully understand it. The time when you devote yourself to studying always passes quickly, and before you know it, the morning is over. Because it was the senior year of high school, many students were meeting on campus or nearby for meals, and some even rented a house next to the school, just to prepare for the college entrance examination. Zhang Cheng's family lives in Nanchang, which is a bit far away from Guanglan Middle School. Although my grades were not good, I still had lunch at school like other students. Let's go, Chungza, let's go eat. Qin Jin had been feeling uncomfortable for a long time after sitting for a long time. As soon as Chen Guoqing left, he immediately jumped up and pulled Zhang Chegong to leave. I'm not going. Zhang Cheng shook his head and sat firmly in his position. At the beginning, the cafeteria was crowded, and it took a long time just to queue up. With all this time, I might as well read a book for a while. Taking out Yu Xinran's Chinese notebook, Zhang Cheng planned to read it for a while before going to have something to eat. Qin Jin was relatively thin and could not move Zhang Cheng. He felt extremely hurt at this moment. Okay, I'll go eat by myself. As he walked away, he took 2 steps and turned back, looking like an abandoned and resentful woman. After a while, all the classmates in the class were gone, and only Zhang Cheng was left. The quiet classroom with the noisy ceiling fan is very suitable for studying. Zhang Cheng has never been so eager to learn at any time. Especially with his photographic memory, he urgently needed more knowledge to fill his mind. 1 page, 2 pages, 10 pages, 20 pages. Wansho's notes were firmly remembered in the depths of Zhang Cheng's mind. As long as he recalled them for a moment, he quickly found his imprint. After studying like this, half an hour passed, and the classmates in the class came back one after another. Qin Jin also arrived at this time, with a depressed look on his face, and handed over the contents of the small white bag in his hand. "Hey, I knew you wouldn't go to eat, so I brought you some big steamed buns." "Okay. Thanks, brother." Zhang Cheng was not polite. When he came to his senses, he happened to be a little hungry. The steamed buns were a bit cold and hard, and with the water on them, Zhang Cheng ate them quite deliciously. Qin Jin sat down and said, "I feel like you are really crazy and don't even want to eat. Could it be that you are possessed by a ghost?" Zhang Cheng was stunned for a moment. "What are you thinking about, kid? Can't you say that I suddenly became enlightened? Have you had brain surgery?" Zhang Cheng decided to ignore him. At noon, there were 58 people in the class, and about 2/3 of them did not go home. Some were lying down to rest, while others continued to read books. When Qin Jin saw Zhang Cheng starting to bite steamed buns and read a book again, he naturally knew in his heart that he was not just showing off, but was serious about it. He originally wanted to read a novel, but after thinking about it, he took out a math book and planned to read it too. Those messy numbers, letters, and formulas popped up from all directions, spinning in circles in front of my eyes. Snapped, Qin Jin lay on the book, closed his eyes and fell asleep. In the quiet corner, there are only the sounds of books being turned, and occasionally the sounds of burping dry steamed buns and snoring in sleep. After spending noon, Zhang Cheng had read through all of Yu Xinran's notes. The gains are naturally great, and Zhang Cheng expects that his Chinese language skills will be improved by at least 20 or 30 points. After all, it's impossible to test all the original questions on the notes. In the remaining time, Zhang Cheng did not review anymore, but squinted slightly. Although he was young, he stayed up all afternoon and felt somewhat sleepy. In the afternoon there are English and biology classes. The English class also taught test papers, but Zhang Cheng didn't listen to them. Instead, he took the high school English book and passed it all. I have memorized all the high school vocabulary, which is helpful for Zhang Cheng to understand a sentence. But in English, relying solely on vocabulary is not enough. There are also factors such as grammar, slang and so on. Moreover, a word may have many other extended meanings. If you just translate the English word into Chinese to understand it, you will not understand it. Coupled with the sometimes lengthy and inverted attributive in English, it is even more confusing. Zhang Cheng also understands that English is more particular about vocabulary and language sense, and these can only be learned through normal accumulation and practice. As for living things, the content of memory is also relatively large. Some people even think that biology has been attributed to the liberal arts, and geography should be attributed to the sciences. Therefore, Zhang Cheng memorized all high school biology, which gained him a bit of confidence. Looking at the pile of books in front of me, most of them are textbooks or test papers. There are some tutorial books that I bought together when I was a freshman and sophomore in high school. It's time to buy some supplementary books. 5 years of college entrance examination, 3 years of simulations, etc. You have to prepare a set of these, right? Zhang Cheng planned to go home for dinner, buy some tutorial books, and get a haircut. Afternoon get out of class ends at 6 o'clock, and evening self-study is from 7 to 10 o'clock. From Zhang Cheng's point of view, high school, especially senior year, is really tiring. He studies, does questions, and takes exams all day long, all in preparation for the college entrance examination. But after actually staying for this day, Zhang Cheng still felt very fulfilled. I don't have a smartphone with me, so I can't read Douyin, Bilibili, Jihu or Weibo, but I don't feel empty. Zhang Cheng didn't feel any loss since he didn't have time to go to internet cafes or play games. Reading, and only reading, can make Zhang Cheng feel fulfilled and satisfied. Riding an old bicycle, Zhang Cheng quickly arrived at the Cross Street district. He first found a barbershop and had his hair cut into a short crew cut. The original non-mainstream outfit changed a lot in one go. Still a bit handsome. Ignoring the immatureness of his clothes for the moment, Zhang Cheng looked at himself in the mirror and was quite satisfied. He has a pretty good figure, neither fat nor thin. At 1.80 meters tall, he is considered tall in the team. After paying the money with satisfaction, Zhang Cheng went to the bookstore to browse. Pengcheng Bookstore. This bookstore is the largest and most popular bookstore in Cross Street. As soon as you enter the door, you feel that there are piles of supplementary books and test questions. Further inside, there are some literature, reference books and other books. Obviously, it specializes in teaching guidance books for elementary schools, middle schools and high schools. There were more people at this time, and Zhang Cheng felt a little depressed when walking in the narrow corridor. The tutoring books in the college entrance examination series are relatively obvious. For example, the 3-year simulation of the 5-year college entrance examination is a thick one, which is placed in the most conspicuous position. After a brief flipping through, Zhang Cheng first took 2 volumes of mathematics and physics, and a 3-year simulation of the 5-year college entrance examination. It wasn't that he didn't want to take more, but that his wallet was empty. If you have time, come here to read. Looking at the mountain-like pile of tutorial books, Zhang Cheng felt a little hungry. But buying them all is naturally impossible. Zhang Cheng had a half-day break on the weekend, and Zhang Cheng planned to come here to have sex for free. Both books have more than 200 pages and are very thick. After putting them in your school bag, your shoulders will obviously feel heavy. Zhang Cheng's home is in Nanchang, which is considered a suburb of the city. His father, Zhang Yiping, had been engaged in the sales business of White Lotus since he was a child. He saved some money and bought a small store here with an attic room on the 2nd floor. Fortunately, the height of the 2nd floor is not bad, so it doesn't feel depressing at all. My mother, Chen Ru, opened a small shop on the 1st floor, and she also received some insole samples for processing in her free time. Counting past lives, Zhang Cheng has not been home for some time. At that time, I was wandering outside and accomplishing nothing. I rarely came back except during the Chinese New Year. Feeling timid near home. Despite the moment of hesitation, Zhang Cheng chose to let go of the memory of his past life, put down his bicycle, and strode into the store. The canteen is not big, and the room is filled with daily necessities, snacks and the like. Back. Chen Ru was busy working on the demo. She looked up and saw Zhang Cheng coming back and called out. For a moment, I felt that my son who came back today was a little different from usual. Yeah, Mom. Chen Ru didn't get up either. The food is ready. Go up and eat it. Zhang Cheng responded. Although he had something to say in his heart, at this moment, he couldn't say a word. Going upstairs, there was a bowl of green vegetables, a bowl of steamed eggs, and a small plate of soup on the small square table next to the kitchen. After a rare whole day of studying, he only had some steamed buns for lunch. Zhang Cheng, who was already hungry, ate alone. When the meal was ready, Zhang Cheng went downstairs, replaced Chen Ru, and stayed at the shop by himself to let his mother eat. Sitting in front of the store, Zhang Cheng took out his math tutorial book and started reading. From the corner of his eye, he was paying attention to the situation in the store. Zhang Cheng's powerful mental arithmetic ability allows Zhang Cheng to completely eliminate the need for manuscript paper, and all calculation processes can be presented in his mind. Chapter 1. Gathering. The concept and expression of sets. This chapter seemed to have little calculation volume and was quite conceptual, which made Zhang Cheng flip through the book very quickly. Occasionally, guests would come to buy things. Zhang Cheng was busy reading a book while observing the movement with his peripheral vision. However, most of the people who came to buy things now were snacks, ranging from a few cents to a few yuan, and Zhang Chenghua didn't need to worry about it. Chen Ru finished her meal quickly and came down. She saw Zhang Cheng sitting at the door of the store, reading a book seriously. I felt a little strange in my heart. After all, I had never seen Zhang Cheng reading here before. Mom, I don't have any money, and I want to buy some reference books. Zhang Cheng closed the book and put it in his school bag. Chen Ru looked at Zhang Cheng and didn't answer. In her mind, she thought that Zhang Cheng was planning to find a way to get money to go to the internet cafe again. Chengza, the college entrance examination is about to take place. You have to calm down. Chen Ru sighed and said. Zhang Cheng was stunned for a moment, then he understood and didn't mention the money again, and replied, okay. The image of not studying and loving playing games in internet cafes cannot be reversed in an instant. That's all, I have no money so I can go prostitute for free. Zhang Cheng went upstairs first, put a thick modern Chinese dictionary, 5th edition, into his school bag, and then came down. I'm going to study in the evening. Chen Ru responded without saying anything more. The evening self-study near the 3rd year of high school is naturally no better than that of the 1st and 2nd grade students. Sometimes exams are organized, and sometimes there are lectures on topics, but most of the time, students mainly focus on answering questions and reviewing. In the evening, Chinese teacher Zhang Ming leads the class. He never liked studying in the evening, and usually asked everyone to study quietly. If you have any questions, you can come to him at the podium. At other times, he would not stop students from studying any courses. After reading Yu Xinran's notes, Zhang Cheng took out the Modern Chinese Dictionary, 5th edition. The red cover is still new. Opening the cover, I saw it read, compiled by the Dictionary Editorial Office of the Institute of Linguistics, Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, The Commercial Press, Beijing, 2005. For the first time, Zhang Cheng turned over the first page seriously and read it word by word, paragraph by paragraph. From the reprint instructions to the table of contents and examples, to the pronunciation, meaning, and meaning of words. The book contains more than 65,000 words. Zhang Cheng believes that from now on he will rarely encounter words he does not recognize. The dictionary is very thick, nearly 2,000 pages. Zhang Cheng also read it very carefully, taking notes and understanding at the same time. He didn't read 10 lines at a time, and it took him almost half a minute to finish reading one page. Acridine A. Azine. Akan. Name. A type of organic compound, with a ring structure and containing one or several nitrogen atoms, such as. Although he only read it for a while, Zhang Cheng felt that he knew so many characters and words for the first time. It was very interesting, especially because many of the words involved all walks of life, subjects, and fields. Just reading the explanations is already interesting, but what if we delve deeper into these areas to learn more? Zhang Cheng only felt that he didn't know how to study in the past and wasted his youth and time. Qin Jin was reading a novel on the side, and Zhang Cheng looked at the dictionary with concentration on his face. No matter how good the novel was, it was boring to read. I could only take out the Chinese language book and read it with a frown. But looking at the constipated expression, you can tell how hard it was for Qin Jin to watch. By the time they took a break, Qin Jin was already dizzy. He put his arm around Zhang Cheng's shoulder and said painfully, "Chengzi, you have really changed. You can actually read a dictionary and still enjoy it. A dictionary is the best reference book. Once you know this, I believe there will be no problems with the previous questions." In the Chinese language test paper, the first 4 multiple-choice questions are generally about pronunciation, typos, idioms, language errors, etc. Each question is worth 3 points, which is easy to get and easy to make mistakes. TCH, it's so thick. What's the use of reading it? You might as well read the collection of wrong questions. Qin Jin then pointed at Yu Xinran's notes. Have you finished reading the senior monitor's notes? Why don't you just show me? Look, I'll pay her back after the evening self-study. Zhang Cheng also felt his eyes were a little dry at this moment, stopped reading, and folded a page in the dictionary. Page P132. I just saw this section of Kang. It still takes a lot of time to read them all. Zhang Cheng stretched out and said, "Let's go outside for a walk." The school is located on the outskirts of the county town, and it seems very quiet at night. Dim street lights, mottled tree shadows, and students coming and going. Zhang Cheng fell in love with the feeling of campus. This was something he envied every time he walked into Jiangzhou University. But now he has another chance. He still remembers that when he first learned to repair computers, his favorite thing was repairing computers for the girls at Jiangzhou University. Because girls don't know much about computers, whether it's reinstalling the system or replacing parts, it's very smooth. Mirror, please accept your efforts these 2 months and work hard together. Don't regret it in the future. Zhang Cheng didn't light up a cigarette and simply walked around the campus. Qin Jin pouted. I have no hope. Master, consolidate and practice some basic and familiar knowledge, and try to get into college or something. Qin Jin's score is not much different from Zhang Cheng's, but if he can get more than 340 points, it is estimated that there will be no problem in junior college. No, you've only had 2 months. How much can we improve? Aren't you on the same level as me? Qin Jin chuckled. Zhang Cheng smiled and said no more. Sorry, I'm sorry. After the evening self-study was over, Zhang Cheng packed up his schoolbag and handed Yu Xinran's notes back to her. Finish watching. Take note of it. Okay. Yu Xinran took back the book, smiled slightly, turned and left. Although the two were in the same class, they were actually not familiar with each other. After returning home, Zhang Cheng started burning the midnight oil again. As usual, Chen Ru cooked a portion of lean meat and egg soup to supplement Zhang Cheng's nutrition when he returned from his late self-study. Only this time, I saw Zhang Cheng reading a book at the desk very seriously. Don't look at it too late. Take a shower and go to bed early. I know, thank you, Mom. You've had your hair cut, and you look more energetic. Chen Ru touched Zhang Cheng's head. Zhang Cheng sipped the soup and said, well, I was too sloppy in the past, but I won't be anymore. That's good. The college entrance examination is coming soon. Just calm down and prepare well. If you really can't pass the exam, your father has told you to go to Jiangzhou to learn a trade from your uncle. I see. Zhang Cheng knew that that was the path of the previous life, but it would not be the path of this life. After a brief wash, Zhang Cheng began his memory work again. By 12 o'clock, 2/3 of it was completed. The next morning, it was the last few pages. A periodic table of elements and a map of China. The entire dictionary has been firmly memorized in Zhang Cheng's mind. Language literacy skills, get. Zhang Cheng gently closed the 5th edition of the Modern Chinese Dictionary and put it back on the bookshelf. From now on, please call me Little Prince with a rare word. That what? Lonely and colluding, walking alone and enlightened. The rolling melons and melons are regarded as a model, the dragons are moving, and the horns are in the corners. What? Only, Xuan, come on, so easy. Mom no longer has to worry about my ability to read and write. Carrying his heavy schoolbag, Zhang Cheng was ready to go to school. At 7:10 in the morning, you have to study by yourself. Within a day, Zhang Cheng got used to this pace of life. Chen Ru prepared breakfast early, an egg and a bowl of lean meat noodles. Why are you reviewing so late? Chen Ru scolded after putting down the noodles. Zhang Cheng moved his face and said, well, the college entrance examination is coming soon, and I want to give it a try. You can't go to bed after 1 o'clock. Chen Ru sat on the edge and watched him eat. As long as you have the desire to study, your parents won't force you to work. We can also study for a junior college. After graduating from a junior college, you are considered to have gone to university. It is always easier to find a job. Chen Ruk remembered that the daughter of her neighbor Lao Zhangtu had gone to college and was now a teacher. Okay. Zhang Cheng nodded. After shaving his head, Zhang Cheng's overall energy improved a lot, which made Chen Ru feel a little stunned. My baby feels really different from before. Mom, the food you cook is delicious. Zhang Cheng raised his lips slightly and looked at Chen Ru. If the food at school is not delicious, you can come home to eat at noon. It's also close by bicycle. Chen Ru said as if he didn't eat well at school. No, I won't be back for lunch or dinner. It's not long before the college entrance examination. Zhang Cheng shook his head. Chen Ru paused and agreed, that's fine. When Zhang Cheng finished his meal and was about to leave, Chen Ru stopped him again. This is 200 yuan. Take it and eat better at school. The money is not big money, but the small money collected in the store, 250 yuan bills, and a few 20 and 10 yuan bills. Zhang Cheng instantly felt some sand in his eyes, blinked hard, and took the money. Thank you, Mom. Chen Ru smiled and touched his head. Thank you for nothing, study hard. After getting on the bicycle, Zhang Cheng gathered his emotions. His next task was still very heavy, even with the plug-in of photographic memory and super calculation. Because time is a little short. In 2 months, he had to improve comprehensively in 6 subjects. Moreover, for science, you really don't need to be able to calculate. If you don't understand it well and can't find ideas for solving problems, it's just a calculator. I didn't even know what to look at for a long time. Chengza, why are you pedaling so fast? When he was approaching school, The thin Qin Jin rode his bike hard to catch up. Zhang Cheng glanced at his electronic watch and said, "We're going to be late." "What are you afraid of when studying on your own? Aren't you so early too? You didn't force me." Qin Jin rode forward with a panda eye. "I didn't sleep for half the night." "What are you thinking about?" Zhang Cheng said funny. Qin Jin didn't say anything. When the two of them parked the car and walked to the classroom together, he said depressedly, "You've changed. There's no point in going to the internet cafe alone. Then come and review with me." Zhang Cheng patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile. Qin Jin said, "I don't even know what to review. I wanted to read a book yesterday, but I felt sleepy as soon as I touched the book. It's like my brain is mushy." Then, he scratched his head again and said, "Why are you reading so seriously now and not being distracted?" As good friends and roommates for 3 years, others were secretly working hard, but Qin Jin himself was also shocked. Zhang Cheng thought for a while, "If you want to review, I think you can start with Chinese and English to improve your scores in these two subjects. These two subjects do not require scientific thinking, and for Qin Jin, there is the possibility of rapid improvement." "I think so. My own level is worse than yours. You can also ask the class representative of our class." Zhang Cheng laughed to himself. Although there is a plug-in, Zhang Cheng himself is not sure how many points he can get in the exam. "You said you were looking for Yu Xinren and Zhang Peng?" Qin Jin backed down as soon as he heard this. "It's not like you don't know about Zhang Peng's behavior. There's no point in asking him. As the college entrance examination approaches, few people will be so enthusiastic. Then read the book first and ask the teacher if you don't understand." Zhang Cheng rolled his eyes at him and said speechlessly. When he arrived at class, Zhang Cheng stopped when he passed by Yu Xinran's seat and said, "President, can I borrow your composition tutorial book to read?" Yu Xinran was preparing to read English silently at this moment. When she heard Zhang Cheng's question, she was stunned for a moment, but she still nodded and handed the book over. "Okay, return it to me as soon as possible." "Thank you." Zhang Cheng thanked him and returned to his seat. Qin Jin was a little embarrassed and said, "Chengza, how dare you ask her to borrow books?" Zhang Cheng paused for a moment, and suddenly thought that at this time, everyone was in their 3rd year of high school, and there were quite a few shy people like Qin Jin. Some of them didn't even dare to talk to girls. What's wrong with that? Zhang Cheng shook his head and opened the book, How to Get a Perfect Score in the College Entrance Examination Essay. I looked at the catalog and sorted it out from theory to practice, composition type, structure, title, crest, pig belly, leopard tail, and also sorted out some golden sentences, famous quotes, etc. However, from Zhang Cheng's current point of view, these so-called full-score essays are still a bit simple. After all, it is only about 800 words long, so there is not much expansion. But generally speaking, essays that can get high scores have their own unique features. Concept, structure, language style, etc., most of them can make people shine. Okay, let's start reading books. Zhang Cheng devoted himself to reading this tutorial book while taking advantage of this morning's self-study class. Another good book has been printed in my mind. Well, studying, turning through books, is so boring. In the next week, Zhang Cheng completed the memorization of ancient Chinese dictionaries and English dictionaries, and gave Zhang Cheng a review of Yu Xinran's Chinese and English teaching aids. Zhang Chengdu felt a little embarrassed. It was not good to catch someone and drag him to death. On Saturday, it was practice time again. Although the 4th model has not arrived yet, it does not mean that the teachers will no longer put more burdens on the students. On the contrary, usually at the weekend, the papers produced by the teachers themselves will come. Saturday morning, Chinese. Zhang Ming, still bald, entered the classroom with a pile of papers. "Okay, everyone is quiet." Zhang Ming put down the paper, making a quiet sound. "Today's small test. I gave you a paper. The difficulty is more difficult than the mock test, and similar to the college entrance examination. The time is 10 o'clock. Everyone can write as much as they want in the composition." Zhang Cheng put away the book and looked at Zhang Ming with a fiery gaze. After focusing on Chinese for a week, it's time to see the results. "Okay, everyone put the books on the table down." Zhang Ming coughed lightly and called the 2 class leaders. "Xinran, Li Long, you two please distribute the papers." Li Long is a small man, about 1.6 meters tall, sitting in the second row. He is the deputy monitor. As for the results, Zhang Cheng was not impressed. It should be above average. The two got up and handed out papers. Zhang Cheng sat in the back row and was the last one to get it. It shouldn't be difficult. Zhang Cheng browsed briefly. Among the following items, the pronunciation of the punctuated characters is completely different. A. To seal the deal, to participate, to be foolish, to be ignorant. B. Popular all over the world. Pyramidine, pyramidine, ether. Simple. Zhang Cheng glanced at it, combined the words, and instantly found the correct answer. But when it came to reading and understanding modern texts, Zhang Cheng thought about it after reading the original text for a long time, but he still felt a little strenuous. What is the incorrect understanding of the original text? What psychology does it reflect of the author? For the classical Chinese essay, I chose a section of Zuo Zhuan, and there were not many problems. In the past, Zhang Cheng couldn't get a single point for this section, but now it's a little better. With the memory of ancient Chinese dictionaries in his body, he understood these ancient texts in his mind and arranged the sentences, more or less. It was naturally much easier to answer the questions. Write the question silently in seconds. When it came time to write his essay, Zhang Cheng unexpectedly discovered that he still had 1 hour left. The Chinese language test for the college entrance examination lasts 2.5 hours. According to the progress of today's simulation, Zhang Cheng is almost half an hour ahead of schedule. The composition is a short story. The general idea is that there is a continuous mountain ahead. Most people climb one mountain after seeing it, and then stop climbing. They think that the road ahead is not easy, so it is better to stay and live in peace. Only a few people can cross the mountain. Walk to the broad plain. Requirements. Choose a topic of your own choice, determine the concept, clarify the style of writing, and draft your own title. The word count should be no less than 800 words. After thinking for a while, Zhang Cheng quickly had a rough idea. In fact, this can also be regarded as a road of life. The road ahead is not smooth sailing or smooth. On the contrary, there are always some ups and downs, especially when reaching one's lofty goals. The road ahead is difficult. But it still takes those with great perseverance to cross the mountains and reach the finish line. As for stories, examples. Scientist Qian Shuisun, the Red Army during the Revolutionary period, etc. flashed through Zhang Cheng's mind. After spending more than 10 minutes making preliminary drafts in his mind, Zhang Cheng started writing. I need to practice my handwriting. He usually writes the word, Jia, but after Zhang Cheng deliberately wrote it, he could get by with it. But now he was writing a composition, and a lot of words were put together, and Zhang Cheng felt that his handwriting was too ugly. Add a plan to practice calligraphy. Soon, as Zhang Ming's reminder sounded again, the test was over. One group is Zhang Peng, the second group is Li Long, the third group is Yu Xinren, and the fourth group is Zhang Cheng. Please collect your test papers. Zhang Ming seemed to have noticed that Zhang Cheng had finished the papers and was doing nothing, so he immediately asked him to collect them. Zhang Cheng responded and saw that Qin Jin, his deskmate, was still writing furiously. An essay was written like a heavenly book, but he did not collect it from the back row, but walked to the front row. After all, the time was half an hour short. Many students were finishing their compositions, and some were just halfway through. Some of them didn't want to hand it in right now. Zhang Chengdao, sorry, I handed in the paper, then he took it directly. A certain classmate raised his head angrily, but when he saw Zhang Cheng with a kind face, he immediately became honest. The nickname, Ruffian, is not for nothing. Who wouldn't be afraid of someone who is tall and strong but not afraid of trouble? Thanks to everyone's cooperation, the winding up went very smoothly, and even Qin Jin, who looked like a bitter melon, did not escape. The third and fourth classes were exams as usual, but they were for physics. Regarding physics, Zhang Cheng only briefly reviewed the books from the past 3 years in class, but he had memorized these basic knowledge points. But when it comes to mastering it, it's still a step away. Although the numbers in my head are turning quickly, I am still a little helpless in the face of these difficulties. A certain scientist conducted physical experiments on the surface of the Earth and the surface of a certain planet by vertically throwing them upwards. Both were thrown with the same initial velocity. He found that it took time t to return to the origin on the Earth, but it took 5t time on the other planet. Then he fell back to where he was. Well, Zhang Cheng looked at it and roughly knew what formula to use. The acceleration due to gravity was no problem, but he had no idea for the latter question. Still don't have a strong grasp of knowledge, tough physics. Wait until the afternoon. Zhang Cheng, hard chemistry. The only good thing is that since the entire high school textbook is memorized in his mind, Zhang Cheng has no problem with some questions that test theory and hard knowledge points. As soon as the Chinese language test was over, Zhang Ming went to the office holding the thick test paper. Start correcting the grade cause. Teacher Zhang, you do the corrections yourself. Why don't you ask the students to help you do the corrections? The biology teacher on the side walked over, holding a thermos cup with wolfberry in his hand. Zhang Ming adjusted his thick glasses and said, "They are all taking exams right now, so you should do it yourself." After 2 classes, I still don't feel good. It may be that there is not enough time, or it may be that the questions are too difficult. Zhang Ming probably counted less than 5 people who scored 100 points. Alas, after the approval is over, let's continue the approval at noon. Etc. There was something unexpectedly off about the paper I was reviewing on hand. The first 12 multiple choice questions are worth 3 points each, for a total of 36 points. I glanced at the answers in the brackets and found that they were exactly the same as the CBADC that I kept in mind. It's so silky smooth. He tilted his head and looked at the names on the test paper. Zhang Cheng. It's him. Not quite right. Zhang Ming scratched his bald head, feeling a little weird. Who did you copy? Probably not. During the entire test, Zhang Ming did not wander around for a moment, walking around and invigilating the entire test. In terms of severity, it is even worse than the college entrance examination. Is this kid enlightened? Zhang Ming muttered to himself and looked at the next question. In the modern reading comprehension part, I still didn't understand it well, so 8 points were deducted. Appreciation of ancient prose, well done. When it was time to change to the composition, Zhang Ming did a rough calculation and found that the deduction was less than 20 points. I looked at the text again and saw that the words were piled up together and were still ugly, but I was still a little more serious than before and the words were still legible. The title of the composition, My Heart is Far Away and I Keep Moving Forward. Hey, I think this guy's writing is pretty good. After spending a little more time and reading the essay, I felt that the lines and sentences were somewhat relevant and the idea was good. When giving the score, Zhang Ming hesitated, but finally gave it 50 points. To further calculate the points deduction, 10 points will be deducted for the composition, 8 points will be deducted for reading comprehension, 5 points will be deducted for the short essay, and 5 points will be deducted for ancient text appreciation and translation, for a total deduction of 28 points. Total score, 122 points? How can this be? Did you get the wrong answer? Zhang Ming took off his glasses, first rubbed his eyes vigorously, then carefully took out the cloth from the glasses case and wiped the lenses. I put on my glasses and read it carefully from beginning to end. That's right, Zhang Cheng really scored 122 points. When all the subjects finished the quizzes on Sunday morning and the teachers were preparing to work overtime in the afternoon to complete the marking, Zhang Ming, who had already collected the scores, leisurely made green tea, crossed his legs and watched several teachers busy. Each teacher taught 2 classes. Zhang Ming taught not only the grade 3, 9 class where Zhang Cheng and the others were, but also an ordinary class, grade 3, 5. Both classes finished their exams on Saturday and the test papers were scored. However, he is the head teacher of class 9 and is also concerned about the scores in other subjects. National Day, how was your test result this time? Zhang Ming took a sip of tea and asked Chen Guoqing, the math teacher beside him. Chen Guoqing stopped, stretched his waist, and said in a neutral tone, "What else can I do? It's worse than the last mock test." He also taught a rocket class, but he really looked down upon this ordinary class 9. Zhang Ming persuaded with a smile, "We want to be more liberal, but it really makes them angry, it's not worth it." Alas. I'm still angry. Many test points are so simple. I've told them countless times. I can't even change the words or the numbers. Chen Guoqing shook his head and said with a bitter smile. Now that the college entrance examination is so short, it is difficult to improve. Zhang Ming also sighed lightly, but then asked, "How is Zhang Cheng doing in this exam?" "I think this week, he has really changed his mind. Reviewing very serious, not just pretending." Chen Guoqing paused. "I haven't changed his paper yet, but it has indeed changed a lot." Zhang Cheng, who never asked questions in the past, has asked him at least 4 times this week. The questions asked ranged from simple to somewhat difficult the first time. How many did he take in the Chinese language test this time? Guess. Zhang Ming chuckled, put down the cup, and said, "Lao Zhang, physics teacher, Xiao Li, biology teacher. You also guess. If you guessed it right, I will treat you tonight." Chen Guoqing said, "Funny ly, are you so generous today, old guy?" Zhang Xingde, Li Wen and others who were grading papers also stopped. Teacher Zhang is so confident. I guess Zhang Cheng's test score this time will be okay. I guess he will get a score of 100 or so. It's impossible to get more than 100 points. I remember Zhang Cheng only scored 50 or 60 points before. Did he get more than 90 points this time? However, English teacher Chen Yuwen rarely interrupted and said, "I guess more than 110. Yuwen, you talk too much. With more than 110, you can be in the top 5 of class 9. Zhang Xingde laughed. Chen Yuwen took out the English paper and said, "Look, Zhang Cheng got 103 in English this time. How can this be?" Zhang Xingde took the test paper and looked at it. He was also shocked. Li Wen was also very curious this time. "Teacher Zhang, don't be too pretentious and tell me how much Zhang Cheng has learned in Chinese. Which one of us guessed it right?" Zhang Ming also took out the paper, and the corners of his mouth were raised. "I tell you, 122 points. Impossible." "Yeah, how is that possible?" Not to mention the excitement in the teacher's office. Senior high school students who rarely take a half-day break can finally let themselves go. Zhang Cheng rarely went home for dinner at noon. Over the past week, Zhang Cheng either ate something simple in the cafeteria, or asked Qin Jin to bring some steamed buns, without wasting any time. Of course, the lunch meal was indeed a bit unsatisfactory. When Chen Ru saw Zhang Cheng coming back for dinner, she even made a big extra meal and cooked 2 more delicious dishes. Zhang Cheng did not continue at noon, but took the opportunity to have a good sleep. Judging from the feeling of the test, Chinese has basically improved, but English is still lacking, mainly in listening, grammar and composition. As for reading comprehension, it's not a big problem. Zhang Cheng plans to focus on English and mathematics next week. In another half month, I will tackle math, physics and chemistry. Strive to basically improve your scores to the top 10 in the class before the 4th model. The last month is about sprinting towards higher and higher goals. Zhang Cheng still remembers reading online articles in his previous life. Some top academics were very arrogant, engaging in competitions, and giving out recommendations. Zhang Cheng had no choice but to improve his college entrance examination scores. What's more, Guanglan County, where they are located, is just a small border county with a small number of teachers. If you can read 1 book, you are already among the best. There is no competition at all. It was rare to sleep, so Zhang Cheng slept until 3 o'clock in the afternoon before getting ready to go out. "Mom, I'm going out." When they arrived at the store on the 1st floor, Zhang Cheng said to Chen Ru, who was knocking off shoe patterns. Chen Ru looked up and said, "Okay, don't go to the internet cafe." "I'm not going." Zhang Cheng raised his hand and waved. "Of course I won't go. In today's internet cafes, in addition to CF and DNF, Dota and Fantasy Westward Journey are also popular. Although, in the past, his favorite was Dota, but Zhang Cheng is no longer interested. I still remember that after Wings, TI no longer had a championship. Cross Street, Pengcheng Bookstore. Zhang Cheng plans to have more prostitutes for free, and will buy some more books later when it gets later. Picking up an English grammar tutorial book, Zhang Cheng stood at the corner and started reading, turning over the book carefully. Time was of the essence, and Zhang Cheng was too lazy to digest it in detail, so he memorized it first. All of a sudden, Zhang Cheng looked over quickly, as if scanning. An average of 2 seconds per page, and it takes 6.5 minutes to flip through a thick book. My hands were so rough. Zhang Cheng dipped his fingers in his saliva and continued to flip through the book. Fill in the blanks, pass. Composition skills, 2. Reading comprehension, pass. After standing for more than an hour, Zhang Cheng's legs were a little tired. He was squatting and watching when suddenly a greeting came from the side. Zhang Cheng, what are you doing here? Zhang Cheng shook his head and looked up at the source of the sound. Yu Xinren was wearing an elegant green dress, her small face reflected in the white light at the door, and she was looking at him strangely. Supervisor, Zhang Cheng shouted and then stood up. But when I got up, everything went dark, and I almost fell down. Are you okay? Seeing this, Yu Xinren subconsciously pulled Zhang Cheng. Zhang Chongcheng took a breath and said, I feel dizzy after squatting for a long time. Yu Xinren let go and asked, how was this test? Chinese. I guess it's pretty good. It should be over 100 points. I have to thank you for that. Zhang Cheng put the book back and thanked him with a smile. When Yu Xinren heard this, she was also a little happy. Okay, if you study hard and review, there will be no problem in getting into college. Yes, you still have to work harder. Zhang Cheng nodded. If you don't have a college degree in the future, it will be difficult to do anything. Sorry, estimate should be removed. That's true. Yu Xinren was convinced. Is the class monitor here to buy tutoring books? Zhang Cheng asked. Yeah, I still have a lot of questions in physics, and I want to find another book to review. Zhang Cheng remembered that Yu Xinren's grades were among the top 10 in the class. She often scored more than 120 points in Chinese exams, but she was always lagging behind in physics and mathematics. Physics is so difficult. If you don't have an idea for many questions, you won't make any sense at all. My logical thinking is weak, and science is really difficult. Yu Xinren smiled bitterly and shrugged. Then, he searched the pile of books with his eyes. No more, I'll find a few books and leave. Okay. Zhang Cheng waved his hand and moved away. A breeze blew through my nose. Hey, I'm still a virgin. High school is still the time when puberty hormones are strong, and the opposite sex is always attractive to boys. As for the science class, there are originally few girls. Yu Xinren has good academic performance and is beautiful. She is the crush of many boys. Zhang Cheng recovered his thoughts and continued reading. The current major issue is still the college entrance examination. Yu Xinren quickly found books, bought 3 thick tutorial books, said hello to Zhang Cheng and left. Zhang Cheng looked at it for a while, and under the unhappy look of the store owner, he picked out 2 tutoring books, one in English and one in mathematics. He also bought a calligraphy copybook for Tian Kai. The shop owner's face was filled with a smile again. 96. Zhang Cheng paid the money, then took the book and left. It seems that I will have to change my bookstore next week to continue my free prostitution. In the evening, after dinner, Zhang Cheng opened Tian Kai on the desk. There are 3,500 commonly used words in modern Chinese. Read it carefully first and memorize these words seriously. Then Zhang Cheng picked up the pen and began to describe with concentration. Second, 2. 10. Every time he wrote a word, his standard Tian Kai writing method appeared in Zhang Cheng's mind. The large characters are magnified in my mind, and the details of every stroke and the structure of each character are deeply imprinted. However, when describing, the weight of Zhang Cheng's pen was far from up to standard. But at least, after describing one page, Zhang Cheng felt quite satisfied. Basically, the strokes and structure were restored as much as possible. The remaining shortcomings are more about the artistry and stability of the calligraphy. Now Zhang Cheng's pen is not so stable. On the first page, start writing. Taking the Tianzi grid, Zhang Cheng began to write word by word. Before writing, there was no need to read the original book. Zhang Cheng remembered it clearly in his mind. Write one line for each word. After writing a word, Zhang Cheng did not continue writing so quickly, but carefully compared the problems and made subtle adjustments to the problems found. 11 characters per line. By the time he reached the third column of words, Zhang Cheng had already written quite standardly. Keep it up, keep it up. Zhang Cheng took a breath and started writing the second word. He has discovered that although he has a super memory, it is still impossible to practice calligraphy overnight. The only thing that was better was that Zhang Cheng was able to practice according to the standard characters all the time, and his muscle memory after practice was much improved than before. At 12 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Cheng had already practiced 2 pages. We have arrived at the team and office. The progress is not very fast, but the effect is quite obvious. Zhang Cheng believes that in a few weeks, he will be able to practice calligraphy well. Nariko, it's almost time to go to bed, we have to go to school tomorrow. At this time, there was a knock on the door, and then Chen Ru entered the room and reminded. Zhang Cheng responded, "Mom, I'm going to sleep." Chen Ru looked towards the desk and saw that he was practicing calligraphy. "I want to practice my calligraphy well. I heard them say that the college entrance examination is scored on the computer. If the calligraphy is not good, no one will give points." Zhang Cheng put away the paper and pens for calligraphy practice and prepared to wash up and go to bed. Chen Ru nodded with satisfaction and then left. This baby of ours has really changed his gender. Chen Ru couldn't wait to go back to the room and talk to Zhang Yiping. "I can tell you that Nariko has really changed her gender. She has been practicing calligraphy in her room. I looked at it and she practiced very seriously." Zhang Yiping snorted softly. "What's the use of cramming for the moment?" Chen Ru bumped his shoulder lightly. "I can tell you, Chungza has really changed recently and is really studying hard. You can't talk about him anymore. Don't hurt his confidence." Okay, I got it." Zhang Yiping was a little impatient. "I'm so busy at the end of the day that I don't have time to care about him. Just worry more. Anyway, I heard someone say that senior high school students should be encouraged more and not scolded every day, otherwise it will affect their mood. How will they review?" "Okay. Turn off the lights." Zhang Yiping looked at the time and turned off the lights directly. However, Chen Ru's thoughts kept spinning in her mind and she couldn't sleep at all. Maybe Chungza can be admitted to college. The person next to me didn't reply until a while passed. "I'll buy a box of Life number 1 tomorrow. April 18th is 51 days away from the college entrance examination. After early self-study, it's Chinese." Zhang Ming came in with a serious look on his face. "Attend class." As usual, Yu Xinren shouted first, "Stand up." "Hello teacher." "The teacher is not good." Zhang Ming responded directly after everyone sat down. For a moment, the whole class was silent, and no one dared to express their anger. "Look at how you passed the test. Are the mock questions I gave difficult?" Zhang Ming put down the paper and started scolding. Everyone still dared not speak. The students in the row behind quickly hid themselves behind the piles of books and never raised their heads. Zhang Ming called out, "Xinren, Zhang Cheng, you two come and hand out the papers." Zhang Cheng was stunned for a moment, a little surprised that he was called again, but he still got up and went to get the paper. The two of them each took a pile and looked at each other, feeling that everyone was a little sad during these 2 classes today. Sure enough, when handing out papers, Zhang Ming started scolding again. "How can you take the college entrance examination with this attitude? What did you review every week? The average score is actually 2 points lower than the third model. It was 92 last time, and it's 90 this time. You are the worst class 1 have taught." Zhang Cheng was a little embarrassed. Sure enough, he was the worst in every session. When I was handing out the results, I took a look and saw that there were only a few people with scores above 100, and many were around 90. Many are only 70 or 80%. After all, the time is half an hour less, and many people haven't finished writing their essays yet. Yu Xinren was handed Zhang Cheng's test paper and took a special look at it. She was also shocked. When the two passed by each other while passing the paper, their voice came over in a low voice, "Zhang Cheng, that's amazing." "What?" However, soon, he saw Qin Jin's resentful eyes. After handing out the papers, Zhang Cheng sat back in his seat. "Are you cheating?" Qin Jin muttered depressedly. Zhang Cheng took the paper and looked at it. The big red characters read 122. "Not bad, a few points better than I expected. You know, Zhang Cheng would probably be satisfied with a score of 45 points for the essay." Zhang Cheng's lips raised slightly. "This is the effect of review. Why don't you hurry up and catch up?" Qin Jin was confused. Could it be that Zhang Cheng's review really had such a big effect? However, at this moment, Zhang Ming began to comment on the results again. Although time is a little tight for this test, that's not an excuse. Because we don't need to fill in the answer sheets for the test questions, there should be plenty of time. Zhang Ming spoke loudly again. There are 2 people who scored more than 120 points. Everyone raised their heads and looked at Zhang Ming. The first place is Yu Xinren, with 126 points. Zhang Ming glanced at Yu Xinren, nodded, and then said, "The second place is Zhang Cheng, with 122 points." "What? Zhang Cheng? Is it wrong? Are you talking about Zhang Peng?" For a moment, the whole classroom was quietly noisy. Zhang Ming slammed the table with the blackboard eraser and emphasized it again. "Jing Jing, you heard that right. Zhang Cheng, 122 points." Everyone now turned to look at the 4th group in the 7th row. Zhang Cheng touched his nose and said nothing. Xin Jin gave a thumbs up from the side. "You are awesome, 2nd place." Maybe everyone doesn't believe it, but this is the fact. Zhang Mingdao, Zhang Cheng, please pass the test paper to everyone. Zhang Cheng obeyed, stood up and handed the paper to the front. Everyone circulated it. There is no point deduction for the first big question. Is it so awesome? Did Zhang Cheng really write this composition? Zhang Ming added. Everyone has seen that last week. Zhang Cheng listened carefully to every class and studied very seriously in the morning and evening self-study. Even at noon, I saw him eating steamed buns and reading a book several times. Today's results, which he earned through his hard work. You all must learn from him. Don't give up on yourself just because your grades are not good now. You must believe in yourself and put in all your efforts to review, and you will definitely get better grades. The test papers were quickly sent back. Only then did Zhang Cheng have time to look at the points deduction items. The composition was not bad, only 10 points were deducted. On the other hand, reading comprehension was directly deducted by 8 points. Alas, I really don't understand the author's intention. When the next test paper was explained, many people got very excited and began to review seriously. Ah, Zhang Chengdu can do it, and so can I. Zhang Cheng looked happy when he saw his classmates starting to roll up. Let's accept the ravages of the college entrance examination together. In subsequent tests on other subjects, Zhang Chengcheng was not so impressive, but overall, there was still some improvement. Small test situation from April 16 to 17. Chinese, 122 points. Mathematics, 88 points. English, 103 points. Physics, 55 points. Chemistry, 60 points. Biology, 66 points. The total score reached a terrifying 494 points. Compared with the 3 models, the score is nearly doubled. The second book is stable. After all the scores came out on Tuesday, Xin Jin carefully helped Zhang Cheng do the math. "Wow, you really abandoned me." Xin Jinyu was extremely resentful. Zhang Cheng said hurriedly, "Don't talk nonsense, it's not me, I didn't. Last year, our first tier score in science was only 515, and you have to take the first tier exam." Xin Jin showed envy, but he felt uncomfortable in his heart. Zhang Cheng knew his score, which was just shy of 300 points. Xin Jin touched Zhang Cheng's forehead. "Are you really an orange?" Zhang Cheng said angrily, "Nonsense." Xin Jin immediately grabbed Zhang Cheng's arm and hugged him. "I don't care, you have to teach me, don't leave me to work alone." Okay, I'll teach you. Just do this. Keep doing this," Zhang Cheng said seriously. "What? How is it?" Xin Jin looked confused. Zhang Cheng stopped teasing him and said seriously, "I took a look at your score. The Chinese language test was 62 points this time. The points you lost were in the multiple choice questions. Practice this and try to lose only 6 points. Also, if you mention English specifically, you won't be able to improve much if you review the rest." "Okay, I listen to you. I will review Chinese and English specifically." Xin Jin clenched his fists and determined to give it a try. He hasn't read any novels since last week. There was no way. There was a review maniac at the same table, and every time he read it a few times, he felt uncomfortable, and he lost interest in those articles. "Okay, you can ask the squad leader to borrow the wrong question book first," Zhang Cheng signaled. Qin Jin immediately withered. No, you can borrow it for me. Zhang Cheng was speechless. Forget it. I'll sort it out myself and give it to you tomorrow. You should take a good look at it and make sure you memorize it. Yeah, Shengzi, good brother, I'll help you with your lunch this week. Qin Jin put his arm around Zhang Cheng's shoulder, very happy. Make a deal. Zhang Cheng couldn't relax completely in Chinese, so Zhang Cheng continued to read some books, especially simulation questions, real questions, Wanggang's secret volume, Lin Xuan's secret volume, etc. Zhang Ming all provided Zhang Cheng with them, so that Zhang Cheng could continue to improve. As an ordinary class, it is very difficult to achieve a score of 120 or more in Chinese, and he feels that Zhang Cheng still has room for improvement. As for Yu Xinren, he has always been stable, but it is still difficult to break through 130 points and it depends on luck. But Zhang Cheng was different. Zhang Ming felt that his basic skills were too solid. Like the multiple choice questions in the first part, Zhang Cheng rarely deducted more than 2 points after completing them. Xinren, you and Zhang Cheng can communicate more and learn from each other's strengths. I believe your grades can be improved a bit. Zhang Ming specifically explained to the two of them when they were having a small meal in the teacher's office. In addition, Zhang Cheng, your reading comprehension needs to be improved. Read more reference answers and think more about why you summarize and answer questions like this, as well as your composition. Your craftsmanship is still a bit strong. If you want to get high scores, you need to do more. Jin, you need to write in a way that makes people's eyes brighter, and you need to practice your handwriting as soon as possible. Okay. Zhang Cheng responded, knowing that Zhang Ming was doing it for his own good. Yu Xinren also nodded. I understand, teacher. Go ahead. Zhang Ming was full of joy. If you have the spare capacity, you can also guide other students. No problem. Zhang Cheng made an okay gesture and left with Yu Xinren. The campus of Guanglin Middle School is a bit old, with towering trees. The two walked side by side on the road. Zhang Cheng, I didn't expect you to be so good. After reviewing for a week, your grades improved. Yu Xinren feels a little incredible now that he thinks about it. In the past, her Chinese scores were far ahead of the class, and she felt very satisfied. She didn't spend a lot of time just collecting wrong question sets. But now she's feeling the pressure. This man will probably be on top of her next time. Thanks to you. Zhang Cheng thanked him sincerely. You are a strong opponent. Let's compete next time in the mock test to see who comes first. Okay. What about the loser? The loser gets milk tea. Make a deal. Zhang Cheng entered into an orderly review rhythm as usual. Listen carefully in class and master all the key questions asked by the teacher. In the morning, self-study will be conducted to listen to English listening skills and improve the sense of language. In the afternoon, students will read tutorials to focus on improving grammar. In the evening self-study, they will focus on practicing math problems. When I got home, I practiced Tian Kai for another 2 hours. Time flies so fast, and it will be Labor Day in a few days. It is rare for senior high school students to have a day off. The weather also started to get very hot. During class, the electric fan above my head began to spin, squeaking. Tian Kai's commonly used calligraphy has been trained. Now, as long as Zhang Cheng doesn't seek speed, the handwriting he writes with care looks very beautiful. Only the layout between words needs to be improved a bit. But it no longer affects Zhang Cheng's good handwriting. Qin Jin also entered the plan to review Chinese and English as requested by Zhang Cheng. In physics, he definitely has no potential to improve. As long as he can maintain a score of more than 30 points in each subject, he will make a profit if he can score 123 in science. In his hand is a collection of key pronunciations and easily misspelled characters compiled by Zhang Cheng. The characters are very beautiful and are in standard Tiankai. According to Qin Jin, Zhang Cheng was really cheating. After practicing calligraphy for a month, I actually became good at calligraphy. It made him often think about it. Who did he skip class and play games with in the past? The last mock test has finally arrived. Everyone's books were asked to be taken away, leaving empty desks. The class leaders turned each table over and separated them. Zhang Cheng and others brought their stationery and entered the examination room one by one in exactly the same manner as the college entrance examination. Everyone messed up the exam. All the time arrangements are exactly the same as the college entrance examination. On the first day, there was a Chinese test in the morning and a math test in the afternoon. The next day, I took the comprehensive science test in the morning and the English test in the afternoon. The questions were not difficult, and Zhang Cheng felt they were slightly easier than those of Sanmo. This may be the last mock exam, let's give everyone some confidence. The mock exam is over, which means it's time for the May Day holiday. Ah, the exam is finally over. Qin Jin took the exam for 2 consecutive days and felt like he was getting anxious. Although Zhang Cheng could bear it, he was still a little tired. Come on, let's go relax. Hey, aren't you going to an internet cafe? I've thought too much. I'll go after the college entrance examination. Let's go and take you to eat crayfish. Zhang Cheng patted Qin Jin on the shoulder and prepared to take him to a feast. Yu Xinren on the side was preparing to pack her things and leave. Zhang Cheng invited him smoothly. Squad leader, do you want to come with us? What, are you ready to celebrate? Yu Xinren smiled slightly and joked. No, I heard that a Lobster King opened on Yanjiang Road and is holding an event. The second order is only 1 yuan. Zhang Cheng picked up his school bag and the 3 of them walked out. Yu Xinren smiled and said, I didn't expect you to hear other things besides review. I am over-flattered. Qin Jin followed, not daring to speak again. The 3 of them then rode their bikes to Yanjiang Road together. Zhang Cheng ordered 5 pounds of lobster and several bottles of beer, while Yu Xinren got soy milk. Qin Jin opened the lid and drank directly. It's great. Yu Xinren drank a cup of soy milk and then peeled the lobster. This is my first time eating it. Is it peeled like this? Now, this is it. Zhang Cheng took a big one and started to demonstrate. Remove the head, pull out the gut, and remove the shell. The meat in the middle is spicy and fresh. Yeah, that's good. Yu Xinren nodded. Qin Jin suddenly felt like a light bulb, bright and big. No, orange, Come on, mirror, let's have a drink. Zhang Cheng took the bottle and had sex with Qin Jin. In my heart, I suddenly remembered the days when I had barbecue in Hubu Lane in my previous life, but that had become a memory and was a long time ago. Drink. Qin Jin became more courageous after drinking. Chengza, I originally wanted to finish these 2 months and go to Guangdong province to work. Why did you suddenly change your gender? Woolen cloth? Yu Xinren stopped talking and ate shrimp alone. Zhang Cheng put down the shrimp and started drinking with Qin Jin. He knew that Qin Jin had a lot of confusion and displeasure in his heart. Even he would not have truly made up his mind to study for the college entrance examination wholeheartedly if he had not had a difficult life in his previous life. I've had a really hard time this month. I can't read the book, I have to force myself to read it, and I have to review it after I go back at night. When I feel sleepy, I prick myself with a pen. Qin Jin drank heavily and cried, complain. Zhang Cheng is working hard and has made such great progress. As his deskmate, Qin Jin could only force himself to keep up, hoping to make some progress. Yu Xinren looked at Qin Jin in surprise. The 2 poor students in the past, the 2 people with the least presence in class 9, actually had such a side. Fighting, brawling, skipping classes, surfing the internet. It is true that no classmates are willing to get close to Zhang Cheng and Qin Jin. They have always been together. If it weren't for Zhang Cheng, Yu Xinren probably wouldn't have had much interaction with the 2 of them. Just classmates. Zhang Cheng drank a few more sips of wine with Qin Jin and patted him on the shoulder. Mirror, you have to believe that when you look back on this period of struggle in a few years, you will be grateful for the rest of your life. Qin Jin had a very poor drinking capacity, so he had the courage to drink a bottle and soon became drunk. That's good now. Once he's drunk, how can we eat these several kilograms of shrimp? Yu Xinren said with a smile. This is only a few kilograms. Zhang Cheng waved his hand and quickly peeled the shrimp with his gloves. Having experienced late-night snacks for a long time, he was very good at peeling shrimps. While peeling his own shrimps, he could also peel them for Yu Xinren. How many points do you estimate for this simulation? Yu Xinren asked suddenly. This answer should be about 545. Zhang Cheng made a rough estimate. I haven't reviewed these 3 subjects in depth yet. So awesome. That one will definitely be fine. Yu Xinren was also very happy. Her grades have always been around 540, and she is already ranked among the top 10 in the class. Zhang Cheng shook his head. However, we haven't produced results yet, and I don't know if the estimate is accurate. By the way, what major do you want to study in college? I don't know yet. I couldn't pass the college entrance exam in fractions before. I never thought about it. Zhang Cheng has always regarded the college entrance examination as his top priority. As for which school he can go to and what major he chooses, that is all a matter of course. Let's talk about it after getting admitted to college. And you? Yu Xinren put down the shrimp. I plan to study finance and economics. That's good. I heard that this major has good prospects. Zhang Cheng nodded. My parents said the same thing. The two chatted for a while and almost finished eating the shrimp before Yu Xinren left first. Throughout high school, Zhang Cheng had very few friends. Now besides Qin Jin, he had one more friend, Yu Xinren. Zhang Cheng sent Qin Jin back and then returned home. Nariko, why are you drinking? Chen Ru was somewhat unhappy when she saw Zhang Cheng coming back smelling of alcohol. After finishing the mock test today, Qin and I went in to eat lobster. We drank a little wine. Zhang Cheng smiled and explained. Chen Ru sighed. Okay, go take a shower, Nu. Zhang Yiping's expression on the side was not very good. When Zhang Cheng went upstairs, he said again, we haven't even taken the college entrance examination yet, and we're already drinking. What are you talking about? Okay. Chungza just finished the mock test. Why don't you relax a little? We have a holiday tomorrow. Chen Ru naturally favored her son. You are just facing him. Zhang Yiping was always unhappy. You guard the store, I'll go up and take a look, Chen Ru said with a sigh and followed upstairs. Zhang Cheng took a quick shower. Although he drank some wine, his mind was clear. Chungza, go to bed early tonight and get up to read tomorrow morning. Chen Ru took a bottle of Life No. 1 and placed it on Zhang Cheng's desk. This made Zhang Cheng confused, and again, this. Since the family bought this a while ago, Chen Ru has made sure to give Zhang Cheng a bottle every day. Zhang Cheng naturally knew that this was just an ordinary drink. Okay, I'll practice calligraphy and then go to sleep. Zhang Cheng nodded and responded. Chen Ru pointed to the bed again. Now that the weather is hot, there are more mosquitoes. I've added a mosquito net for you today and lit the mosquito coils. There should be no mosquitoes. Yeah, thank you, Mom. How do you thank Mom? How do you feel about this mock test? Chen Ru asked about the mock test again. Zhang Cheng naturally knew his parents' expectations. He hadn't said anything about the last test yet. Mom, don't worry and prepare the tuition fees. Okay. Chen Ru agreed happily and then left the room. May Day Labor Day, as required, we will have a 3-day holiday from April 30th to May 2nd. However, for senior high school students, May 1st is the only day left. As usual, Zhang Cheng got up early to review English and went through all the past test papers, including answers and analysis. I still have hearing in my ears, and I am listening to the recitation of good English articles. Multitasking does not affect the effectiveness at all. This is the result of Zhang Cheng's exploration this month. It's just that the appetite is much larger. As for the lobster last night, most of it was eaten by Zhang Cheng. After dinner, Qin came in and invited Zhang Cheng to play. Aunt Chen, good morning. Jinzi, is it so early today? Chen Ru said hello while replenishing the goods. Can you find Chungza? I'll ask him to come down. Qin Jin smiled sheepishly. We are not going to the internet cafe. We are going to the bookstore to read. Okay, it's time to calm down, Chen Ru said with a smile. Then, Chen Ru shouted loudly upstairs, Chungza, Qin is coming in. Zhang Cheng's voice echoed from a distance. Sit down. Chen Ru greeted amiably. Zhang Chengdu has changed recently. He spends his time at home reading and practicing calligraphy. By the way, how is his performance in school? Zhang Cheng didn't take the initiative to talk about the situation at school. Although Chen Ru didn't ask, she was eager to know. Qin Jin suddenly flashed past the scene of Zhang Cheng crazily reviewing and reading, paused, and said, Chungza has been reviewing very seriously recently. He scored more than 490 points in the last small test. This time, The fourth model is estimated to be at least more than 500 points. Really? Chen Ru's eyes suddenly lit up. Although she doesn't read many books, she still pays attention to this topic. The score in science is nearly 500, so it's no problem to take the second exam. Yes. At this moment, Zhang Cheng came downstairs, wearing a white t-shirt, a pair of gray trousers, and a neatly styled hairdo. At 1.8 meters tall, he looked quite talented. Mom, let's go out then. Zhang Cheng was full of energy. After talking to Chen Ru, he took Qin Jin away. Oh, okay. Chen Ru was still in shock. You need to know the results of every mock test. Although Zhang Cheng did poorly in the test, he still paid attention to it. It has always been 250 or 60 points, and the best test was 290. This is already an extraordinary performance. I guess I was lucky and got a lot of things right. After a while, Chen Ru came back to her senses. She felt that yesterday's premonition was really coming true. Doctor's Garden Bookstore. Zhang Cheng specially changed to a bookstore today. First, they read a few books for free, and then each of them picked one. The book chosen for Qin Jin was a book that focused on English grammar. Zhang Cheng thought it was pretty good and suited Qin Jin's current level. He himself has 4 major subjects and 4 sets of mock papers. The latest Wang Gang's secret volume. Chengzi, have you recruited any of your classmates? When he was about to leave, Qin Jin glanced at the cultural and sports store nearby and asked suddenly. Not yet. Zhang Cheng was a little surprised. Have you started writing your classmate list? I see that many classmates are buying it, and I plan to write it down this month. After all, after the college entrance examination, everyone goes their separate ways. Qin Jin shrugged. Zhang Cheng actually didn't have much impression on most of these classmates, but after the small test, he felt that everyone was closer to him. Then let's buy a copy too. Good. After each choosing a classmate book, the two of them entered the internet cafe with satisfaction. It's been a long time since I logged in to my account. Zhang Chengdu had forgotten his password and it took him a while to retrieve it. Qin Jin didn't wait for him and started CF by himself. Zhang Cheng searched the internet for major events in recent years, and slowly recalled some major events that happened in his previous life. The college entrance examination is no longer a problem. Zhang Cheng can guarantee that he will be admitted to college, and there is even hope of entering a key university. As for how many points he must get and what rank he must compete for, Zhang Cheng had no such idea. The new goal needs him to think about and determine. What major should I study? How to make your first pot of gold? These two are the main questions immediately after the college entrance examination. Not only that, Zhang Lin vaguely felt that his plug-in was related to that old computer. Yu felt that computer hardware such as CPU, memory, and hard drive were integrated into his body. Otherwise, how to explain his supercalculation and photographic memory? Zhang Cheng is quite familiar with computers. After all, he has been an apprentice in the computer city for several years, and the machines he assembled by himself are considered very conscientious. At least they won't charge those beggar boards or items, and they will charge mid-range or even high-end prices. Learn computers. Think of it as a way to understand the secrets of your own body and tap into its full potential. As for making money, Zhang Cheng has searched and found no very good answers. Some suggest gambling, while others think he can be a translator or lawyer. However, now, the first pot of gold Zhang Cheng needs to be put on the agenda. At least you have to earn money for your own computer, right? After turning off the computer, Zhang Cheng leaned back lazily. Hey, does our school get a financial reward for being admitted to a good university? Then you have to take the Mizuki and Kyoto University exams. Qin Jin put down his headphones and was about to get off the plane. I haven't played for a long time and my hands are raw. After a few games, I have 1 kill and 6 deaths. Falling to the ground. Zhang Cheng's eyes lit up. How much is it? It seems like 100,000 yuan. Hey, this is going to work. Zhang Cheng was a little moved. Qin Jin rolled his eyes at him. What are you thinking about? With a score of 678, no one in our school's rocket class can pass. Holy crap, the scoreline is so high? Zhang Cheng was also shocked. That's for sure. In our small county, Shangshuimu and Kyoto, it will be good to have one in a few years. I'm just thinking about it. Zhang Cheng smiled and stood up. Let's go. The entire fourth mode exam paper is similar to the college entrance examination. The papers are sealed and marked by several groups of teachers. Each person is responsible for a few questions. The grade group leader is still watching carefully. However, for a while, there will definitely be no results. The May Day holiday is over and the test paper preparation stage has not yet entered. The students have been relatively relaxed these days and are reviewing on their own. Taking advantage of this time, you came and I began to exchange classmates. For a time, all kinds of student recording papers were circulating in the class. Here, classmate records. Zhang Cheng also took his own classmate records and distributed them to the whole class. Yu Xinren took it and handed it to him. Mine. Okay. Zhang Cheng gestured and took away. When you receive one, you have to fill it out quickly and take it back, but if there are too many, it is easy to mistake which one belongs to whom. Of course, Zhang Cheng doesn't have this problem. Lifting up the gel pen, Zhang Cheng started filling it out. Open black lens bracket personal file name, Zhang Cheng birthday, February 22nd. Address. Number 78, Yanjiang West Road, Guanglin County, Shaojiangnan Miscellaneous Store. Button. 9,359,121 cell phone. None email. Qianku email. Hobbies. Reading, computers message from classmates. Written in regular script, there is beauty all the way. Regarding the message, Zhang Cheng thought about it and wrote, in the quiet years, gatherings and separations are all destined to happen. Reminiscing about the sun rising and the moon setting, we were classmates for 3 years. Spring passed and autumn came, and we overcame the difficulties together. The vast Linjiang River flows far away from Zhuzhou, and the road of life begins a new chapter. A limerick. The size, structure, and compactness of the fields are also more in place. Even Zhang Cheng feels that the writing is very good. I spent some time completing a classmate list for Yu Xinren. Next, Zhang Cheng started writing about other people. It was also rare that Zhang Cheng, who had never been approachable before, received a lot. I wrote a few simple sentences, such as, friendship is a wordless song that blooms like a tree of beautiful flowers in the light season. I wish you a bright future and success in your studies. 3 years have passed by in a hurry, and we are about to say goodbye. Don't wave your hands and sigh, there will be time to meet again in the future. I wish you a happy graduation, a bright future, and a prosperous journey. After 2 days of intense paper revision, it was finally time to remove the seals and tally the results. Zhang Ming was old and was the class teacher, so naturally he didn't need to record the results, so he just watched from the side. The first thing to count was the Chinese scores, and a series of score reports came. Zhang Peng, 109. He Xinwei, 98. Well, judging from the results of the previous few people, it feels better than the last small test. At the critical moment, you still have to scold a few times before these little bastards know what hard work means. Li Long, 110. Zhang Cheng, 134. Wait a minute, how much is Zhang Cheng? Zhang Ming was stunned for a moment and stopped the biology teacher Li Wen to continue reporting the scores. Li Wen turned back and pulled out Zhang Cheng's paper. Here, look at it, it's 134 points. Hiss. Zhang Ming took a breath, took the answer sheet, and read it carefully. The entire answer sheet feels very refreshing, and all the words seem to be printed, but if you look closely, you will see that they are not printed, but standard Tian Kai. I looked at the name and saw that it was correct, it was Zhang Cheng. Zhang Cheng from class 9 of senior high school. Li Wen said with a smile, Teacher Zhang. Zhang Cheng feels like he has suddenly become more successful. His score is probably one of the best in rocket class. Zhang Ming nodded without replying, preparing to take a serious look at his answers. Li Wen continued to report the scores. Li Lily, 90. No matter who looks at this roll, they will feel particularly comfortable. Even if the essay is poorly written, the score will probably not be low. I looked at the essay and got a score of 54. A few points higher than the last quiz. After briefly reading the full text, I felt that Zhang Cheng had already felt the pulse of high-scoring college entrance examination essays. Coupled with the completely improved layout and handwriting, It seems to have reached the point where there are almost no errors. This little guy wants to go to the conference for review when he is playing around. He is really trying to learn, but he seems to be going to the conference to give a typical speech. Zhang Ming couldn't understand, so he went back with the answer sheet. Qin Jin, 88. Yu Xinren, 128. After a while, the Chinese scores were reported, and the next subject, mathematics, began. Coincidentally, Zhang Cheng's paper was ranked first. It's time for math, Zhang Cheng, 117. Chen Yuan, who was recording the scores, was a little surprised and couldn't help but ask, I remember in the last test, his math score was only over 80. Has it improved so much this time? Zhang Ming nodded, but felt a little excited in his heart. Our class 9, it looks like we are going to have another important point. The entire 9th class is just an ordinary class. In fact, there are only 4 or 5 people who can sprint to the key points, but now there may be one more Zhang Cheng. Li Wendao said, let's not worry about it now. Let's wait until the scores are compiled. Good. Everyone was full of energy. As we got to the back, teachers from class 9 and class 6 slowly gathered around. Chinese, 134. Mathematics, 117. English, 125. General theory. The School of Science and Technology is still reporting scores, but Zhang Cheng's score for the 3 gates has been automatically calculated, 376 points. As the answer sheets passed one by one, everyone became more and more anxious. What's going on? You haven't arrived in Zhangcheng yet. As if to test everyone's patience, when they were approaching the last few cards, they saw Zhang Cheng's answer sheet. Come on, Zhang Cheng. Li Wen paused and then reported, Science Comprehensive Science 221. Holy shit, the total score reached 597 points, 597 Only 3 points short of 600, 985 universities are all in sight. The teachers were all shocked, and no one spoke for a while. Chen Guoqing was introverted and seldom spoke, but he spoke first later. This score ranks high among the rockets class. The rocket class is a rocket class, but there are actually not many people who can really stabilize their score above 600, only 12 or 3. Zhang Xingda muttered angrily, this stinky boy, we are the only ones with poor management skills. If we squeeze and squeeze, we can always achieve 2,450 points, right? There is still room for improvement in mathematics, Chen Guoqing pointed out. Zhang Ming laughed and said, this Zhang Cheng can really surprise us. This month, you teachers will practice hard. You can bring him to the office to practice in the evening self-study. Hey, I can't wait. Zhang Xingda rubbed his hands happily. If there is a good idea that can impact the capital, it is naturally impossible to let it go. Whether it can increase performance income for yourself, or enable students to enter a better platform. After reporting the scores, Chen Yuan ranked the total scores in order of high and low. First place, Zhang Cheng, 597 points. Second place, Zhang Peng, 588 points. Third place, Li Long, 585 points. Fourth place, Yu Xinren, 582 points. Fifth place, Chen Hao, 570 points. 34th place, Qin Jin, 364 points. The score rankings came out quickly and were posted on the wall of the class. After the teacher was confused, it was time for the students to be confused again. Holy shit, first place, Zhang Cheng, 597 points. Is this cheating? You still corrected the wrong paper? How is that possible? Zhang Peng, who had always been ranked first, looked unhappy. He looked at Zhang Cheng's scores in various subjects and fell into silence. Yu Xinren also took a look and walked towards Zhang Cheng. I want to know how you reviewed and actually got the first place in the exam. Yu Xinren felt incredible. From the initial score of 255 in the third model, to 494 points in the quiz, and then to 597 points in the fourth model. Did his test scores take a rocket? By the time you take the college entrance examination, will you have reached 690? Just thinking about it makes me dizzy. Zhang Cheng was not surprised, but he still felt that mathematics and physics were still holding him back. Monitor, remember the milk tea you owe me. I'm willing to admit defeat. Yu Xinren agreed. Qin Jin also smiled happily. he no longer wanted to compete with Zhang Cheng. This comparison was perverted. On the other hand, it was always difficult for him to score 300 points in the exam, but this time he actually scored 364 points. Chinese, 88 points, Mathematics, 70 points, English, 90 points. Science Comprehensive, 116 points. The methods taught by Zhang Cheng are all used, specifically to improve Chinese and English, and they focus on the parts where it is easier to improve scores. As for mathematics and physics, he focused on reviewing simple questions. He only wanted to know the simple ones and get points. Qin Jin didn't even look at the other big questions and didn't spend half a minute on them. Haha, Chengzi, now I can go to a junior college. Qin Jin was extremely happy. Zhang Cheng raised his thumb and felt that Qin Jin had really put in the effort to review this month, and it was really good to get results. But it is unlikely that he will continue to achieve better results. It's good to know how to do it right, but it's also difficult for Qin Jin to master other difficult things. Okay, let's choose a school in the same city later. Okay. Qin Jin was in high spirits. When I go to Guangdong province, I won't work anymore. No matter what others think or see, the fact that Zhang Cheng was ranked first from the bottom and won the first place in Class 9 of Senior Grade 3 is irrefutable. I heard that the school leaders were alarmed and checked Zhang Cheng's answer sheet. But in the end, it can only be explained that Zhang Cheng, who was originally smart, made mistakes due to online games before, but now turned back in time, worked hard, and his grades suddenly improved. Our school also needs to carry out special rectification. Students must not be allowed to go to internet cafes to play games anymore. Look, Zhang Cheng is the best example. What a good seedling, we can't let games ruin it. What Zhang Cheng didn't know was that many people in Guanglan Middle School were suffering miserably because of him. The school, police station and families all joined forces to ban skipping classes and playing games online regardless of junior high school or high school. The spotlight began to shine on Zhang Cheng. In the afternoon, Zhang Cheng took his score slip and returned home. It's time to tell my parents. Dad, Mom, I'm back. It's rare that Zhang Yiping is also at home. Why are you back? Then I'll go cook some food. Chen Ru was a little surprised that Zhang Cheng had eaten at school at noon and evening before, but when he suddenly came back, there was really no food prepared at home. Zhang Cheng reached out and handed over the note. Mom, don't worry, these are the results of the fourth model. Take a look. Chen Ru's eyes lit up. The results are out. As he spoke, he hurriedly took it, but the next moment, he was confused. Zhang Yiping was also a little anxious, but he still maintained his image and coughed lightly. How much? Chen Ru's body started to tremble a little, and the hand holding the score sheet kept shaking. Chengzi, is this really your report card? Well, can this still be fake? You can call Teacher Zhang and ask. Zhang Cheng raised his lips slightly. Finally, I was able to reshape my image in the minds of my parents. Zhang Yiping was confused by what he heard, and walked over directly, took it and took a look. Chinese 134, Mathematics. Total score 597, first in the class, 34th in the grade. Chen Ru's eyes were complicated. Although she believed it in her heart, she still wanted to confirm and dialed Zhang Ming's number directly. In the past, she had always attended parent-teacher meetings, and she had left the phone number of the head teacher. Hello, Teacher Zhang. Is this Zhang Cheng's parent? Hello? Zhang Ming's voice on the other side was filled with joy. Congratulations. Zhang Cheng, the fourth model, did well in the exam this time. He is first in the class. As long as he performs normally in the college entrance examination, there should be nothing wrong with the key undergraduate courses. Question. Bang. The Nokia in his hand fell down. Chengzi, you. Chen Ru's eyes suddenly welled up with tears, and she couldn't stop them. My baby is going to be successful. Mom. Zhang Cheng wiped the corners of his eyes while holding back tears. I went upstairs to read. Yiping, you see, Chengzi is really promising. He got 597. Chen Ru stopped picking up her cell phone, took Zhang Yiping's arm, and talked excitedly. Zhang Yiping's mood changed quickly. Okay, I saw it. Lady boss, come and pay for Xingsheng. At this time, a middle-aged man stopped in front of the store, took out 20 yuan and raised his hand. Shen Ru wiped tears from her eyes, and a smile suddenly appeared on her face. She took a pack of cigarettes and handed them over without taking the money. She was about to close the store immediately. "Brother, we won't do business today. I'll give you cigarettes." "What?" The man looked confused. Shen Ru was as proud as a peacock. "My son is going to be successful." After the fourth model, Zhang Cheng instantly became the hottest topic of conversation in Guanglan Middle School. Going from last to first is inspiring in itself. Not to mention the past when Zhang Cheng was called Cheng Ruffian, how many people had heard of his name. However, for Zhang Cheng, these are just passing thoughts. What is really useful is the knowledge he has learned. 597, which is still far from his college entrance examination goal. "Here, you won the milk tea." Yu Xinren handed over the milk tea with a smile. Zhang Cheng took it with ice. "Thank you, monitor. I have to thank you. I have made progress in several subjects in this mock test." Yu Xinren smiled, gave him another classmate, and then waved and left. As soon as Yu Xinren left, Qin Jin's eyebrows jumped up. "You too?" While speaking, his two fingers were still making gestures. Zhang Cheng rolled his eyes at him. "What are you thinking about? Come on, let's see what the class monitor wrote." Qin Jin saw the classmate list and came over again. Zhang Cheng handed him the lower one. "Take it, it's yours." Then I took a quick look and saw that it was just some personal information and messages. When you make the right choice, the future will be bright and the road ahead will be bright. Fortunately, you are already on the road, and there are poems and flowers in the distance. Bless us who are persistent in pursuing our dreams, and may you fly higher and go further. Zhang Cheng then pretended to return it to his classmates' directory. These classmate records will be treasured after they are written, and will be remembered in the future. As soon as the evening self-study began, Zhang Cheng took out the Wangang secret volume and prepared to start working on it. "Zhang Cheng, come over to the office." But at this time, Zhang Ming suddenly came over and shouted. Zhang Chunggong's ready-to-fight state was suddenly interrupted. "Okay." Although he didn't know what was going on, Zhang Cheng still responded, stood up, and was ready to leave. Zhang Ming glanced at the Wangang secret paper on his desk and said, "Bring the mathematics and comprehensive science papers with you as well." Zhang Cheng was a little confused, but I did it anyway. As soon as he entered the classroom office, Zhang Xingde and others saw him under the lights. "Zhang Cheng, come here quickly, let's practice physics first." "Why should I do physics first? Chemistry is also important to me." Zhang Xingde said with a serious face. "He is the worst in physics, so he needs to focus on improving physics." "Zhang Cheng. What's going on?" Zhang Xingde walked in front and pulled Zhang Cheng over. "Look at your 4 model scores. The most points were deducted in physics. Could it be that I didn't teach well?" No. Zhang Cheng was surprised by Zhang Xingde's serious look and said hurriedly, "Teacher Zhang taught the class well, but my foundation was too weak before." "Then, let's focus on review tonight. Let me see where the problem lies." As he spoke, Zhang Xingde asked Zhang Cheng to sit next to him and took out a blank 4-modulus comprehensive paper. "Remember where the points were deducted?" "Remember." Zhang Cheng nodded and pointed to a few multiple-choice questions and the big questions at the back. Here is the scratch paper. Tell me what you were thinking at the time." "Charged particles are repulsed during motion, so they are positively charged. I know that option A is wrong. I also know that option B is that point C is further away and has a weaker charge, which is wrong. But for option CD, I know I still don't have a grasp of it. Let me tell you about the potential difference and kinetic energy change." Zhang Xingde opened the book, starting from the definition and examples, and finally extended to other examples, which made Zhang Cheng suddenly enlightened. One was speaking, the other was listening, and the lights in the office were on for a long time. In addition to listening to explanations on the mistakes made by the 4 models, Zhang Cheng also made a set of secret papers. Zhang Xingde was very pleasantly surprised. Zhang Cheng's memory was so good that he was very familiar with the knowledge points in books and explanations. It's really a treasure found. No wonder he was able to improve so much in other areas. No, physics must also be improved. After completing the secret paper, Zhang Xingde and Zhang Cheng checked the answers together. For a 100-point physics question, 18 points were deducted and the score was 82 points. After explaining the wrong question, Zhang Xingde actually felt that Zhang Cheng still had room for improvement. You still have some weaknesses in electromagnetism and mechanics. You should focus on training in the near future. Seeing that the time had reached 10:30, Zhang Xingde made a summary for the night. There were only 2 people in the teacher's office. Zhang Cheng stood up and bowed to thank. I understand, thank you teacher. For teachers to spend so much time and energy cultivating themselves, Zhang Cheng could see that they valued and expected him. After that, Zhang Cheng spent every night in the teacher's office. First, there is dedicated one-on-one guidance in physics, chemistry, mathematics and biology, and then there is further strengthening and improvement of Chinese and English. When the college entrance examination was approaching, Zhang Cheng got high scores of 612 and 625 in 2 consecutive mock tests, except for the essay. This made the 6 teachers' eyes gleam, and they pinned their hopes for Mizuki and Kyoto this year on Zhang Cheng. As for the rockets class, although the current number 1 Chen Hanlin has a chance, he is still not stable enough, between 650 and 670. June 4th is the last day of classes. The weather was a bit dull and overcast, and it felt like it was going to rain. For many years, every college entrance examination has always been cloudy and rainy. The last class was hosted by Zhang Ming. There was no more class, but more emphasis on matters related to the college entrance examination, including stationery to bring, admission ticket, etc. Afterwards, Zhang Ming spoke sensationally for a while. During the 3 years of high school, Zhang Ming also taught and served as the class teacher for 3 years. He is very familiar with every student in the class. In the 2 months since the college entrance examination, he has become even more emotional. Zhang Cheng suddenly became diligent and studious, and his grades improved rapidly day by day. Under his influence, the students all took up classes and their grades increased to varying degrees. Please everyone calm down and go into battle with ease. I wish you perseverance and immediate success. As the bell rings, the high school career is about to come to an end. Zhang Cheng prepared everything he needed for the college entrance examination, relaxed his mind, and started the college entrance examination. On the contrary, Zhang Yiping and Chen Ru were extremely nervous, and they kept trying to persuade Zhang Cheng not to be nervous. Zhang Yiping didn't go to work and drove a pickup truck to send him to take the exam. During the exam, Zhang Yiping was waiting in the car. He kept smoking and waited nervously for the end. Among the following words, the group without typos is A. Exaggerate, candidate, instantly, without any hesitation. B. Look closely, drop out of school, sit in charge, blame everything but others. C. Guo Kui swallows up the spirit and doesn't bother to talk. D. Bewitch Zhang Qing, Xin Le, cause trouble at a glance, it's simple. Zhang Cheng filled in the answer directly. There are actually some changes in the composition. A short essay, 15 points, describing Lu Xuan. One major essay, 50 points. Mencius said, a gentleman has 3 kinds of happiness. Having both parents and having brothers for no reason is one kind of happiness. Looking up to heaven and not being ashamed of others is the second kind of happiness. Getting the world's talented people and educating them is the third kind of happiness. Mencius, do your best close double-angle bracket. That is to say, talk about the joy of life. Zhang Cheng's thoughts suddenly came to him at this time, and he wrote nearly 1,000 words eloquently, feeling somewhat satisfied. The Chinese language test is over. As the bell rang, I quickly handed in my papers and left the school. Seeing Zhang Yiping, who was hesitant to speak, Zhang Cheng smiled and replied, I feel okay. Good. Next, there are mathematics, comprehensive science, and English. Along the way, Zhang Cheng felt that his mind was running very fast, and he gave full play to the various knowledge points he had memorized in the past 2 months in every exam. For the mathematics and science comprehensive examinations, Zhang Cheng was even more meticulous, checking the results as if he was carrying an advanced computer. Unless there are some problems, Zhang Cheng is very confident. The college entrance examination, with rain and gloom, is finally over. After the English test, the dark clouds in Guanglan dispersed and the sun hung in the western sky. Chen Ru closed the shop and Zhang Cheng came to pick her up. Are you exhausted? Whatever you want to eat tonight, Mom will make a big meal. Chenru smiled on her face. I want to eat steamed eggs and fried eggplant and meat. Okay, Mom will do it. Chenru smiled.